Everybody had to think a minute what day it was here. Yeah, I've been off for a couple of days. Hope everybody, it's my first day back, had a great holiday weekend. Beautiful day out there for you today. Summertime is here, my favorite time of the year. Hope you guys are all happy, and I missed you a lot. I really did. I miss being here. Time off is always great, but I don't know. That's always how I was built, Aim. Like, growing up, I didn't like missing school. It's why I hate The Price is Right. Because if I was homesick from school, that's what my mom was watching. I hated being homesick from school. So, yeah, it's great to be back. Great to see you, Amy.
It's always good to be here. Good to see you. We didn't know when you were coming back, so it's nice to see you on this Wednesday.
Well, it sounded like when I was off, you guys didn't know if I was coming back the way you and Ray were going about it.
We thought maybe Labor Day, next year.
I had 2026 penciled in. I was like, he'll probably come back to celebrate whatever we called the 250-year anniversary.
That is the... Aim, you looked it up. You should have it. Nope, not so much.
Sesquicentennial.
I do have to commend you. I bow to you. I tip my hat to the two of you. So it was Friday. I was off. And it was later in the afternoon. And did one of you text me or did I text? I forget how it all played out.
You missed us.
I did.
Yeah.
And Ray said, oh, no, I just went back with my, so Donna and my daughter Jenna were sitting there. I said, Donna said, did they do the thing today, the last week report?
Yes, that's what it was.
I said they did, and I think it was very heavily me involved.
Yes.
And she's like, oh, call it up. So I did. My daughter and my wife were hysterical. I mean, you guys did such a great job. It was really, really funny. I was a little embarrassed, but I laughed at, myself because I was the key member of all the jabs.
Prominently featured.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you know what's prominently featured? If you're reading a newspaper, it's the front page.
Now, the front page. The stories everyone's talking about. 97.5, The Fanatic.
Oh, my God, what are the Phillies going to do? Is Rob Thompson on a short leash? Should they change the lineup? You need to make trades. They fought a 38-18. That's all you need to know. I was listening in the morning this morning to the guys, and they were talking about it a little bit, and Andrew kind of just said 38-18. I said, yeah, I think if anybody would have come to us and said, you know what, after 56 games, the Phillies are going to have 38 wins, I think we would have taken that and run. So that's where they are. It is their third straight loss that they lost last night. I stayed up to watch the whole game, 1-0 in 10 innings to the Giants. Kind of a weird game. Giants are hot right now, and I just said this on the crossover. We talked about it before that at some point the Phillies are going to have to hit a little bit of reality after a historical, 37-game start or 57-game start to the season or whatever it was, 50-game. The Giants have won 10 of their last 12. So you're facing a hot team right now. That's going to happen in baseball. Zach Wheeler, 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, 9 strikeouts. I was kind of surprised when, he got to the 4th, 5th inning and they were showing his numbers because he didn't seem totally on to me last night. And that's the sign of a great pitcher. He still went 6 innings and gave up just the 2 hits, no runs. Kerkering, Alvarado, Hoffman, and Strom, they come in, give you 3 2/3 innings of 2 hits, 0 earned runs, but they lose the game in the 10th with the courtesy runner. Phillies had 7 hits. Schwarber and Sosa had 2 each. Edmundo Sosa, man, they brought up this weekend that even the outs he makes, he hits the ball hard. He sure does. It's pretty great what he's been doing since Trey Turner has been out. Kyle Schwarber batting averaging up to 241.
Love it.
Yeah, an on-base percentage at 370. Good things going on there with him. He broke his home run drought over the weekend. So Kyle Schwarber, I'm okay with everything he's doing. Alec Boehm got the day off yesterday. It was a scheduled day off after he had a really, really rough Monday. And we've all been in this spot, or we've all watched people in this spot. He just couldn't get his body right out in the field on Monday, and not getting his body in front of balls. That doesn't seem to be him. It's funny. I was listening to the morning show a little bit yesterday, and John and Andrew brought up that he leads the league in third baseman errors or something like that. I was like, wow. Eye tests and numbers are so different because I have, and I think we all have, considered Alec Boehm to be pretty good at third base this year. So I was surprised to hear them. Kyle Harrison today, 4-1 with a 3.90 ERA for the Giants against Christopher Sanchez. That game is at 3:45 today. Tom McCarthy, the voice of your Philadelphia Phillies, he's going to be joining us this morning at 11:30. So nice of Tom. I think Tom was even a little bored during that 0-0 run. He and I were texting back and forth all during the game. So, yeah, it's wasn't that great of a game to watch. Pitching-wise, it was fun, and you just don't expect the Phillies to get shut out. You know, it makes even more impressive, Aim, when Atlanta was down 9-0. I was watching them like 2 weeks ago or 10 days ago. They were down 9-0. I think it was to San Diego. And they score a run in the ninth, and the announcers say, so that keeps their string going of 166 straight games without getting shut out. That's impressive.
Whoa, really?
That is really impressive, but the Phillies get shut out last night. Your Sixers, well, the talks continue. Where are they going to do? What are they going to do? Where are they going to go? Keith Pompei came up with a Jimmy Butler, the latest on that. What they may give up. Are they all into signing him to a max contract? We'll talk about that. I have some thoughts on this. After watching a lot of basketball this weekend, there's a way I want to go. And it's not the main way, but these playoffs have shown me something, and I think it's something we have to do. As I said, Keith Pompei joins us at 1 o'clock today. The Eagles. I'm going to propose some numbers to Amy and Ray on the defensive side of the ball, because I still am overwhelmed with and maybe people are correct, I'm not saying I'm right, they're definitely a contender for the NFC title. They should be a 12-13 win team. I'm not being pessimistic, I don't think, Aim. I think I'm being more realistic. And I want to see if we all are. Maybe I'm being too pessimistic. I'm going to throw out some numbers to you on individuals on the defensive side of the ball to see if they're A, attainable, B, needed in order for this defense to be able to do what has to be done for the Eagles to reach, I would say, kind of the lofty goals that people are putting out there in front of them. Also, and the morning show hit on this a little bit, the offensive depth, this might be a little scary. I want to go over this a little bit because it's I'm just going to say it's scary, Aim. It could be something that you need to worry about. On the national front, the Minnesota Timberwolves, well, they avoid being swept last night as they beat the Dallas Mavericks 105-100. Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, they combined for 54 points. Not a great night for Doncic, not a great night for Kyrie Irving for the Mavericks. So Minnesota's able to stop elimination last night in a game that was good.
Yeah.
It's just one of those games. It was like, all right, does Dallas just expect to win? Because I don't think Minnesota's effort was all, I shouldn't say effort. I didn't think Minnesota played to a thing that it was like, oh, there's no way they were going to lose that game.
Right. They played well, but they didn't come out like, oh my gosh, there's no way they're losing this game.
Yeah, that's what kind of surprised me. It was like, I wonder if Dallas kind of took it for granted, like, oh, we're just going to win this game. But they didn't, so now they have to continue on with that series. In the NHL, Florida beats the Rangers last night 3-2 quickly in overtime. Rangers take a bad penalty right away. Panthers go on the power play, boom, score. Good game. I thought that was a really good game. I watched probably, 3/4 of that game, so I was flicking around an awful lot last night. Tonight, Dallas with their 2-1 lead. They're at Edmonton as the Oilers look to tie that one up. I watched a little bit of WNBA action last night. Caitlin Clark became the first rookie, I just saw it this morning or something, to post like 30 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 3 steals, 3 blocks. So a stat line like that, first rookie to ever do it in the WNBA. Yeah, it was by far her best game as a pro. And also tonight, hey, maybe we'll do this, right? Maybe I'll reach out to somebody. The Philadelphia Union are hosting Toronto Football Club. Is this a mandate? Like,
no,
all right,
they don't
you're
all
a city.
do that.
Well, I need nicknames.
Yeah,
like
it is
stop
weird.
it. Stop with the FCs. I mean, come on, Toronto. You can't be better and come up with something else.
What's your name? Toronto. We got that.
We're the football club from Toronto. Okay, great. Ray, can you do so? You are considered a phenomenal play-by-play part-time union man. Is there something you can do about this?
Yes.
Nickname-wise?
Yeah, I'll have league offices on
Can
the
you call
phone
them?
within a few moments.
Yeah, that's
to see
what I
if we
was
can
gonna
get a nickname
suggest.
for Toronto. Yeah.
Not just them. There's a bunch of them that just do the FCs.
Well, the interesting is the SC. When I did the Orlando City game, they're SC.
Yeah,
Soccer club.
soccer club.
So you've already accepted that you're not doing the European version of this whole thing.
I appreciate that more than the FC. Though.
I do too.
I think it's kind of weird. If you're just not going to lean into the whole FC thing that's more of a European thing, why don't you just go full tilt into the whole Americanized thing and just give a nickname?
Because you're
Right.
in Orlando.
Because it's soccer, and then there never can be like a collective effort to Americanize
that's
the
right.
sport.
Well, we don't need a fully, I don't know.
Yes, we do. The clock should go down. Like, change it all up.
Change
Forget
everything
the
up?
Europeans. Forget them.
Just
okay?
make it our
We're
own?
trying to Americanize
This is American soccer.
Yeah. No more. So, clock runs down now. None of this,
extra
nobody
time?
knows except for the referee when the game's over. Crap on that. Let's get it coming down. And Jim Curtin, I love you. You know I do. Let's start with the guys that start rolling on the ground. If they get up and start playing again, you say, no. You just lay down there for a minute and 22 seconds. You need to get off the field for a minute and 22 seconds. Penalize them for their horrible acting. There's many ways to Americanize this sport.
I'm looking forward to that next
too.
text to Jim Curtin. Hey, you want to come on and talk a little bit about your team?
I was going to call him, see if he'll come on today. Jim would agree. He's an American. He knows clocks don't go up.
They do.
That's dumb.
Don't most clocks go up?
Game's over at the 90th minute. Oh, no, it's not. Wait, how much longer are they playing?
So I think
I don't know. The referee just
your
pointed
beef
at
is
his
more with
watch.
the extra time, not that it counts up.
But it doesn't stop
it keeps
either.
it exciting. Neither does baseball. It has no clock.
That's okay. You know when it's ending. After
You think maybe they
27
come
outs,
over?
usually.
Yeah, usually.
So you
Okay.
do- after
Why do
3
you have
goals?
a clock?
What are you doing here?
I mean, come on. Seriously, the clock going up, that's silly.
The only one that actually mirrors real life.
Clock always moves forward.
Correct.
Yeah.
Sports aren't real life.
Sports are life.
Sports are a getaway
That's why we're
from
here.
real life.
That's right. Literally why we're here
Yeah.
in this room.
I
Football
don't
is
know why I
life.
got me all
Football
worked
is
up.
live. Thank you.
FC, SC. Come
Football
on.
is
What are we
life.
doing here? Penalty kicks. I don't know. Anyway,
Wait, what? How do you have
Yeah,
a
wait,
problem with
what's the
penalty
problem with
kicks?
penalty kick?
not penalty. I don't like that the game ends.
Oh, okay,
on
okay.
like,
Oh,
all right,
okay.
let's see who can make the
Close
most
it out on
layups.
penalty
Okay.
kicks,
Like,
I see.
You know,
I got
I like seriously.
Okay.
I don't know. That's just where I am. I apologize.
Clearly.
No one thought that this was going to start with
Hey,
soccer today.
yes.
Yeah, right.
Phillies have
What's
lost 3
wrong with
or
this
4 to
game?
5.
So it's the FCSC. It has me all
Yeah.
over the place, right? So am I to believe? And I teased it on the front page, like kidding around. But like John brought up this morning. Well, little things are only little things until they become big things, and you got to watch out. And I'm not saying this is all John. You got to watch out for the Phillies defense. And I don't know, they need another bat here and there. Look, I look at sports as this way: you're never going to reach, but you're always going to try for perfection. Mm-hmm. Okay? Sorry, you're going to have games where you might get a series where you might get swept, where you might lose 3 out of 4, 2 out of 3, whatever the case. What the Phillies did in the first 50 games of the season was historical, something they've never done before. You have to expect this. But we are a team, and John made a good point, because I was thinking of it in the car before he actually brought up the point. Your Eagles were 10-1, and we weren't happy.
Yeah, that's the only reason people are starting to have this.
Well,
It's
that's
kind of like a
is it
carryover.
the only, or is it we're just such? I think Ray brought this up earlier today before the show. We're such a reactionary fan base that it's.
See, now that's friendly. I would say defeatist at times.
Ooh.
This fan base can be defeatist.
All right. Let me
As a
ask you
whole.
this.
Yes.
How would you describe, Amy, the fan base when the Eagles were 10-1, and say John and I were on the show and we're going, yeah, they're 10-1, but they just don't look right. Is that a defeatist attitude?
I don't think that's defeatist. I just think the defeatist attitude can be when we talk Sixers and people, they lost the first game. Well, they're going to lose this series. I'm not watching anymore. That's the kind of vibe sometimes that you get. I don't think they're the defeatist attitude about Phillies. I think everybody is realistic. I think it's a realistic expectation that they will come back down to earth. They were not on pace to win 140 games or what, they weren't going to go undefeated from here on out.
No.
They weren't going to lose series. Now, I mean, losing 2 series in a row is problematic when you think about it, but it's not problematic when you think about it. It hasn't happened since the beginning of the season, which was over a month and a half ago.
Right. So
Coming up on 2 months ago.
Does the happenings over the last week, because in search of that perfection, like that's what I say, you're always looking for perfection in sports. You're never going to attain it. But like if my team lacks one thing, although they're doing a lot of other things really well, I want to fix that one thing. I want to make that one thing get better. Do losses in 3 of the last 4 games or whatever it is now, 4 or 5, does that make you see better maybe what this team is lacking a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, and maybe you needed that. Maybe you needed a little bit of kind of that magnifying glass on parts of this team to look at it without the rose-colored glasses of, hey, they've won 30 of their last 37 and they've only lost 8 games at home all season, things like that. I just feel like, the fan base is just so aware of everything that goes on, and that comes from their years of being fans, right? I mean, they have that history behind them. So I think that they look at it with those eyes, both of the eyes of, I've been here before, and also the hopeful eyes. I think there's both. It's such a duality, and that's why it's the best fan base, is that everybody can kind of really look at it in their own way. But I think that you have to think about, all right, well, our team's not perfect. There's no one's going to be perfect, and you're not going to win 120 games. Even if you do, that doesn't matter. I think it did show some defensive deficiencies, but I think you knew about those. Just like you were talking about the Eagles' 10-1 start. No one watched that 10-1 start and thought, this team is absolutely 100% going to steamroll. They remind us of the Patriots that went undefeated. No,
right.
You didn't see that. It's a smart fan base. They know what they saw, and I know what they see here. They know that there's some, lack of defensive, I don't want to say presence, but I think that there's a lack of a lot of defensive, really stellar play. Because there's guys that can play defense just fine. But you've seen it. Alec Boehm, I know, has had a rough couple of games. It wasn't just that game. There's been a couple, and you worry about that. Oh, is that going to be something? And then what do you do with Edmundo Sosa? These are the problems. What do you do with the 5th starter? These are the problems they're thinking about. These are good problems.
Good problems, yeah.
Because they're not like, who's the starting pitcher and why is he struggling so much? Or you don't have an ace or no one's hitting. You have several guys that are hitting quite well.
Yeah.
So I think in that one,
the Sosa thing, good problem. The 5th starter thing, maybe a good problem because you still have Turnbull in the bullpen who was pitching very well. I got to be honest, full honesty here, and maybe I don't watch games the right way, and I can say I don't know if that I've missed 5% of the Phillies playing this year. I never thought of Alec Boehm's defense being a detriment to the team before it was brought up by people after that game on Monday. I thought that we all talked about how much he's improved, how good he is, the plays he makes. It's almost like the base running. Like one of the talking points this morning on the show was that they're a bad base running team and stupid, and they get thrown out too many times. And I hear that. And that sticks out. When they get picked off, it sticks out. When they get thrown out at third with 1 out, it sticks out. Mm-hmm. Does it stick out when they go first to third on an aggressive run? Does it stick out when JT Realmuto hits kind of a little bit of a gap single last night that's gotten on one hop by the center fielder, but he takes second base because, he read that the fielder's body was going to be going there. Aggressiveness is going to, If you're going to chalk up all the pickoffs and the thrown out at third, you got to chalk up all the extra bases that they've taken with their aggressiveness also. So I think that's here or there. There is one player that has gotten on my nerves, though, lately on the Philadelphia Phillies. And what do I not like about sports the most is, I want to phrase this the right way, is, how did they put it? No, the announcer said this the other day, and it made me say, oh, they're on the same page as me. Not bright playing.
Okay.
So
that's kind.
Yeah. So Edmundo Sosa. All for him being the starting center fielder, and I know Andrew's sitting in the car pumping his fist right now or whatever. He's like, see, I told you Sosa should have been sent to the minors. Not saying that.
You mean Rojas?
Oh, my God, already. I mean Rojas.
I
look
honestly,
at the clock.
when
I'm sorry.
I irritated. You're like,
Not
You're like, I'm irritated. I was
Rojas.
like, holy smokes,
I'm
he's
sorry.
irritated with
I am
Edmundo
not
Sosa.
irritated with Edmundo Sosa. Actually,
360.
I am giving him praise at the end of the week, so no,
I heard it with him saying center field, and I was like, we got a scorcher he's coming out with out of the gate.
So Johan Rojas gets here on, starting center fielder, kind of on reputation, sort of alone, after only playing 50 games last year.
Defensive reputation.
Exactly.
That was his highlight.
Right. So what have we seen this year? A couple of times, lackadaisical, go to get one-handed catches, falls out of the glove. The other day, he did something on the base pass, and I'm like, dude, come on, man. You're not good enough not to be smart out there. Then, the other day, catches a fly ball with guys at first and third, or whatever it was, bases loaded, I guess. And he throws to third base on a fly ball instead of throwing to second and allows both runners to advance. Out loud on my couch while I was having a couple of days off, I said, you got to be smarter than that. Got to be smarter than that. I think it was Ruben who said, yeah, not a real bright play there.
No.
I think his lack of thinking is starting to wear a little bit. Or he just needs to be reminded of it because it's starting to bother me.
Well, because
And we're talking about Johan Rojas.
Johan Rojas in center field.
Yes.
That was amazing. I really was
apologize.
concerned for you.
All right, I'm all right.
But no, he's a guy that's here on reputation of defense. We see him warming up. If you haven't seen him warming up, he does these funky exercises where wears the eye patch so he can like squint and make sure he catches the ball. Really elite kind of stuff, making sure that everybody knows up. And then you do silly stuff like that, whether it's the outfield, running in on a ball, not running in on a ball, not knowing where to throw to the cutoff, like little things. Those should be instinctual.
Yeah.
You said thinking. You don't even have to think.
You shouldn't, right?
You don't think. Like, I'm the center fielder. This is what I do, and that is what baseball is. It's so reactionary because it is so fast. When it does come to you, you have to get the ball in. You have to know where it goes. When you're running the bases, you have to be aware of where the ball is, where it's going. Like, it's not a thinking game. It's a reaction game.
Right.
And it's an instinct game. And I think that's where the problem for me with some of the Rojas mistakes are, is that he is thinking. I don't think. Just do.
Right. It was funny you say that. One of my first few years of coaching, one of the kids, it was just like, whatever. I said, look, you're a good player. You're too stupid to think. That's my job. You play. I'll do the thinking. And I was kidding with them, but to the point, just let your natural ability take over. But worried? Phillies? Concern? Not me. Sorry, barking up the wrong alley. Do you guys have some concern out there? 610-632-0975. Does a little showing of, what if they lost? 4 out of 5, Ray? Because I don't want to
4 or 5, yes.
4 or 5.
Since you went on vacation, they've lost 4 or 5.
Ray pointed that out to me. I'm not allowed to take a couple of days off anymore.
37-14 before his vacation.
So what shows you more that this Phillies team is? Like, obviously, you would say the 47-14, but people out there will go, well, no, when you're in a losing streak like this, more things show than maybe they do when things are well. What do you think? Where is your thoughts on these Philadelphia Phillies right now? 610-632-0975. Call now. Let us know what you think, or you can text that number also. Amy's going to be with us all day. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. It's 10:30 on this beautiful Wednesday. Absolutely gorgeous out there. And my big thing is like driving in when it's this clear. I love looking at every little aspect of the city.
Yes.
You know what the cooler thing is? I put in new contacts this morning before I came in here.
Before you put your contacts in before
So I did because I
arrived.
thought of you because it grosses you out.
Doesn't
So
I just concerned for your eyeballs?
So I think my eyesight is better with my contacts than it is with my glasses. So when I'm coming over the bridge this morning, it was such a beautiful day, not a cloud in the sky. Like I always feel like I'm seeing something new, even though I've probably crossed the bridge in my 30 years of being in a
I feel you on
profession.
this. When you look at the city and you see like a different building or
Right?
a different window.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. I think about that at nighttime too.
Do you really?
Yeah, when I drive
All the
home,
lights.
especially if I take 76 and I'm going through and I just look over and I'm like, oh, look at that.
Look
oh,
at
I didn't realize
Boathouse Row. Look
didn't know
how
how that
gorgeous
lit
that
up over
is.
there.
Yeah.
I love the city.
Yeah, so do I. It's absolutely awesome and a beautiful day today. I hope you're able to get out there and enjoy it a little bit more. After a great weekend, Monday wasn't so great, but the weekend as a whole, I thought the weather was pretty good.
It
No
was good.
complaints about
Yeah,
it, right?
It was good.
Yeah,
That's what we're looking
so
for.
I didn't do much of like any of the vacation, and I wasn't
Pool's
on
open, though.
vacation.
You were
pe-
on vacation.
I took 2 days off.
I mean, but they
I'm just smart about it, where I take it on the front end of a holiday
Exactly.
weekend and the back
so it
end
was
of
a
a holiday.
5-day break.
It was. It was
But
a
it's
little
usually
too much.
Yeah. Was it
Well,
those 3 extra days too much?
Well, the fact that my wife woke me up at 4:00 this morning and said, "If you want to be early, you can leave now."
I'm sorry.
So
If you
for
want to
certain
be
people,
early.
it was for certain people.
You wanna
I
get there
kid.
5
I
hours
tease.
early.
I tease. But you know how sometimes when
Yes.
you're off, you just like, because
Yeah.
you and I are the same, and Ray, I think, is the same so far in his infancy of his career. Like, we don't mind. We like working. Like, we don't
I like
mind working.
working.
We like working.
I like working.
And, you know, people are rolling their eyes out there. You guys don't work. You talk sports. Agree with you.
That's why we do
no
it.
question about it. So that's just, you know, where we are in this. All right, so we're talking a little bit about the Phillies to begin the show today. And they have a 5-game streak now in which they've lost 4 of the 5. Nothing really sticks out to me. I'm not saying like, oh, look at these things that are starting to pop up of why they're losing. I don't know. Last night was kind of an anomaly.
Yes.
You got
You had
no
Wheeler.
earned runs
Yeah.
in 10 innings.
Yeah. Wheeler allowed nothing.
Your bullpen, nothing.
Nothing. It is an anomaly. It's disappointing because I feel like they've at times struggled to put extra runs up there on the board for Wheeler. Obviously, this team has been scoring runs aplenty until this recent little skid. And I think that's when people are, aside from if you take out the 9th inning in Coors Field on that Saturday night game, they've gotten 7 runs?
Yeah.
No, they had 2 the other night, so 8 runs. Come on.
Okay,
8
yeah.
runs in 5 games?
Yeah.
Good. But they've
No.
been averaging 5 runs. So
Yeah. That's an anomaly last night. You got unbelievable pitching. So you have a 10th inning where they win by not even getting a base hit. You know, you had an intentional walk in
Yeah.
there and 2 sacrifices, whatever. The other night, I thought anomaly. Bryce Harper says, sorry, where was that pitch? Was that far outside or was it close? Is that where we're going to be tonight? And an umpire gets a tricky, ejection finger and just says, no, get out of here. What the hell was that?
His name is 120.
Yeah.
120, very specific.
Like, we've all seen a million games and been to a million games and all
Yeah,
that.
that was a difference maker because you're telling me that Bryce Harper wouldn't have affected the game in some way, shape, or form
Exactly.
the next 9 innings.
And he comes out the next day and hits
Yeah.
a 3-run homer in the 9th inning.
Yeah,
or
that
whatever
wouldn't have
it
went
was.
extras. Yeah, exactly.
Like
Wouldn't have gone extras.
That was an anomaly. So we're talking about this is just a little weird stretch. I don't think anything's really showing. I was shocked about the Alec Boehm talk about him. I didn't even look at the numbers. I don't even know how many errors he has. But yeah, he looked bad the other day. Not getting in front. He looked like a little leaguer.
And he came out and he talked about it.
Sure did.
Which I appreciate. I always think
Love
it's
that.
good because you need to address it. This guy has been great. And we all know what he said a couple of years ago, and he owned it, and I thought that was great at the time. Now there's T-shirts that his foundation makes that have that expression in a cleaned-up way about Philadelphia. I love this place. But, yeah, he had to address it, right from the jump because he has had a number of errors in this little short span. The Phillies have lost games, so it does kind of amplify those numbers. I'm not overly concerned at his defense. I know he's an okay defensive third baseman. He's an okay one. He's a first baseman. He's a first baseman that happens to play third base right now.
Yeah, he's gotten
okay.
himself
He's done better.
to average/above average,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, there's times where he makes a play, whether it's a stabbing play or a jump up for an out, and you thought, that's a very good play.
Right. Yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah, it's like the base running I equate it to. There's going to be good, there's going to be bad. The bad always sticks out more than the good.
Yes.
You know, when he makes a diving play at third or a barehanded play on a one-hopper where he has to go down for the ball and, you know, at 6'5", doing that and then showing the arm, he's improved tremendously at third base. So we notice that improvement when there's games like Monday that happen. It can't overshadow all the improvement he's made, I don't think. It's just like getting picked off at first or getting thrown out at third. Well, you got to chart the good along with the bad, and I think there's just way more good than there is bad with this Phillies team. I don't think these 5 games, 4 losses in 5 games, I don't think anything is really stuck out to me that says, ooh, watch out for that. You know, Rob Thompson's still playing the... Well, you know, I still don't trust Brandon Marsh against left-handed pitchers, so I'm gonna kind of like, you know, divvy that up. But Pache's been fine.
Yep.
You know, so you can't really fault him for that, and that's one of the things that I just kept my eye on every once in a while. All right, Aiden, this question came up to me watching the game on Monday, and Kyle Schwarber hits a bomb, right, at the new. How old is this new park in? How old is this?
15 years old.
Is it really in San Fran? Candlestick's
Oracle
been
Park?
gone. Yeah, Oracle Park.
I'll look it up.
Wow, Candlestick's been gone that long.
I feel like.
So we're watching the game the other night, or the other day. It was Monday, and Schwarber hits a bomb, and my wife's.
Oh, it's even older.
Is it really?
Since 2000.
Wow, 24 years old.
That's not that old.
So my wife. Yeah,
It sure is.
It was born the same year as Ray. So Schwarber hits a home run, and my wife goes, "Oh my gosh, that almost went in the water out there." And I said, "Yeah, that's McCovey Cove. That's what it is." And she hadn't seen it before. And I said, "Yeah, people actually sit out there in kayaks and stuff like that and look to get." I said, "You know, when Barry Bonds was hitting his home runs, it was packed out there
Yes.
and all that." It made me think of something. That might be the number one thing I would like to do if I was a professional player in a venue.
Hit a home run to McCovey Cove.
Hit one into McCovey Cove.
Pretty awesome.
So I put the question out there to you. We're talking Phillies and all. So if any concerns there, that's great. Let us know. 610-632-0975. But if you could do something, and we can't include the Philadelphia venues. So both of them are out. Okay? No Wells Fargo Center, no Citizens Bank Park, no Lincoln Financial Field. The 3 of them are out. You can't say you'd like to do something there. What's a venue in any sport, not here, that you would like to do something? Mine is hit one in McCovey Cove. I think that would be so cool. I love the looks of that stadium. I've never been there. I've driven past there an awful lot. I've never been inside of there. That's something that is beautiful. It's in a beautiful place. It's
Schwarber's
really
almost
cool.
went out too. I feel like it was like a fan that almost stopped it.
It was right there.
Yeah.
Do you have one like off the top of your head?
Yeah, I mean,
thinking
like,
of a venue.
I think there's some really cool venues. I think
Don't take them all.
No, but I think like hitting a home run out of a ballpark, like because there's not many places you can hit it out.
Yeah.
Like it literally leaves the ballpark, right? Sometimes it might go on a little, landing area, Ashburn Alley, for example, or like near the warehouse down at Camden Yards. But it's iconic, and give me a 3-pointer at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, Madison Square Garden is just such a great basketball venue.
It is.
It's hard not to think about like a great shot there, like a game-winning 3 or something crazy like that.
You know, the shame of it is when I was covering the Sixers, there was never that great of a rivalry between the Sixers and the Knicks going up there. I mean, it was always a great venue, and you see the people you see, and it's always sold out. But never, you had a little bit of an Iguodala, Carmelo Anthony go after each other a little, but there was never that. Neither team was really prominent in the league, and that is something that I miss. Going up and seeing Big East games there, unbelievable.
Yeah, it's such
as you've done many times.
It's such a great venue. I mean, every time you get a chance to go to Madison Square Garden, there's a reason they call it, the Mecca.
The world's greatest.
Or you could also. I won't give it the other one because you've played in that place. But I do have a fun factoid from producer extraordinaire Casey Feeney. 3 Phillies have ever splashed, ever.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Are they all left-handed hitters?
2 of them are currently on the team.
Oh, wow. Harper?
Yes, Harper did it in 2019. That one I remember. These other 2 I did not remember. Certainly not this one because it had to have been last year.
Somebody's still on the team, a left-handed hitter. It would have to be Cody Clemens.
No.
Darn.
He's actually on the team like a regular player.
Ray, left-handed hitter. that's on the team, and he's a regular player, and his name would be
And had to have been last year?
Yeah, because he's not been
Garrett
up that low.
Stubbs.
That would be incredible, but no.
Incorrect.
Even Garrett Stubbs doesn't think Garrett Stubbs hit one
Yeah,
in McCovey
right?
Cove. He's not dreaming of that.
No.
My God, who are we missing?
I mean, not
Left-handed hitters?
Schwarber?
No,
We
it's
already
not.
said Schwarber.
Schwarber, I'm
Oh,
telling
no,
you,
we
like
didn't.
he got so close. If I want to look at that again, I think a fan actually might have
Stott.
Correct.
Wow.
Wow.
How about that?
Yeah.
Good for Stott.
Oh, you know what? I did see that replay last night. They did replay that he hit one in.
Howard
in
was the
McCovey
third?
Cove.
No.
No.
That's a shame.
Who was it? It's a right-handed hitter.
Cody Ashe.
Oh,
Wow.
Of course.
Right?
Duh, obviously.
We would have been here all day. I would have given you so many hits, and you would have never gotten Cody Ashe. I had to give it to you quick because otherwise we'd have been here all day.
The first in a long line of the next Chase Utleys.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
We used to call him Smashy because he could really hit the ball quite far. but-
Smashy Ashy.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
working with the Orioles now, I think. I think he's coach in their
Oh, it's
system.
Casey says it was 2022 for Stott, so I guess it was when he was called up
Yeah, that first
Oh,
season.
okay.
for
that
him.
first season.
While he was getting ready to replace Didi.
It's weird to see Pat Burrell not only
Yeah.
sitting on another bench, but also being like an advisor. I remember we ran
Position
into
of power, position of influence.
him at a bar in Boston, believe it or not. We were up there for, I think the Sixers might have been in the playoffs against the Celtics that year. And he was just starting out coaching. And I remember, we said hi and all that and did all that. And we walked away. And I remember one of the people I was with was like, I just can't see him being a coach.
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah, it's
weird.
kind of weird, but maybe he does have great insight. And I think Tom McCarthy, who was going to join us at 11:30 today, did say something on the air last night that he was talking to Pat Burrell, and he was like amazed all the insight that he had.
I mean, he's number one overall pick. The
Yeah.
man is a great baseball player. Certainly helped that Phillies team. I know he's talked about it, and I know we've had Matt Breen on, a number of times. Matt's done some stories. A lot of people have talked about, what he's done with his life since then, his sobriety, things like that. So he's certainly turned over a new leaf, and now he's, back and really reinvested himself in baseball.
Yeah, it's hard. Baseball's hard. The slowness of it, the longness of it, like it is. It's tough. That's a tough sport to watch 300 pitches every day, pretty much, for 162 games. It's tough.
Day
It's
in and
not
day
easy.
out.
God, that is such a grind. All right, when we get back, want to talk a little bit more Phillies with you. Where do you stand with them right now? I'm fine. I'm fine. They've lost 4 or 5. If you didn't expect something like this to come, and look, this might even play out more. They could lose 7 of 10, 8 of 12. That could happen. That's baseball. That's just what it is. I'm not talking it into happening, Ray, so don't give me those dirty eyes. I'm just saying, this team's a really good team. Let's not forget that. This is going to happen over 162 games. But as they were talking about on the morning show a little bit today, are there little things that maybe you're showing now that could be of bigger concern? Also, the fun question we have out there for you. If you could perform any feat at a certain venue, what would it be? Outside of Philadelphia, although Amy has a good one when we get back in Philadelphia that she's going to talk about. This is Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5, The Fanatic. Cooney with Amy Fadul today. I am back. I apologize for those of you that don't want that, and I'm happy for those of you that do. Great to be back. I couldn't wait to get back here. Yesterday I started getting a little antsy. I'll admit it. I was out back doing work, and when I do, I always play music. So I had the music going and all that stuff. Listen to the beginning of your show.
Thank you.
Yesterday. Then I went full music, and then I started to get a little. It was hot out yesterday, and I was doing some backbreaking stuff, like digging up dirt, putting down seed, putting new dirt on top, digging it again, water, all that stuff, which I love to do. So it got to be a little after 1, so I put my feet up and got a little snack and was listening to you guys outside.
Thank you.
And I texted into Ray about something about, if you could bring an Eagle back, who would it be?
You and I had the same
You
one.
and I went same. We both went Brian
Brian
Dawkins because we were thinking also that,
Yes.
yeah.
Get
not
that
only
locker
do we
room going the
believe
right
it-
way.
Yeah, not only do we believe it, but, oh, yeah, that's right. We're going to the Brian Dawkins golf outing next week,
Yep.
which we will be doing a show from. So I found myself getting itchy. And I did hear Bill saying correctly, Bob, thanks for listening, but go back to vacation, will you? And I was like, nah, I'm right where I want to be. I want to be back here. So it's good to have you here, Amy, and you too, Ray. Missed you guys tremendously. So we're talking about our silly question of the hour, just side note question of the hour. Is there a venue in sports where you would love to go to and say, I did that there? Because mine is watching the Phillies games this weekend, from Monday on, I should say, hitting a home run into McCovey Cove. I think at Oracle Park would be a highlight for me, something that I would love to do. Now, you brought up a local venue.
Yeah, I mean, you've actually played, and a lot of people have played in this one, but I just think playing a game of any kind at the Palestra is amazing.
Yeah.
Just because it's such like a bandbox, the way that the stands are like right there, they're right on top of you, the streamers. I think that there's so many people that get to experience that. I would like to experience that with the streamers and everything in the heyday.
Yeah, it was cool. I've experienced a lot. I consider the Palestra like a home. I love that place. I never felt more comfortable covering a game. I was lucky enough when I was part of the media to be part of that every Wednesday group where I get to go in there. Like the fact that
Think about it. You got to play at the Palestra. There's people that, I think everybody knows about it, but all around it, it's like a museum to basketball.
Oh, yeah.
To Philadelphia basketball, and everybody that used to come and play there, all these giant names of the sport. It's just so cool.
It is. It's awesome. So, yeah, I got to play there as a member of the media. Every Wednesday, we would just walk up and open the door because Fran Dunphy would open it for us.
Yeah.
And if Dunph would schedule a practice at, like, say, 12:30 on a Wednesday, we would get there, and Jackie Shore, the late, great, God bless him, love him to death, Jackie Shore would go, Dunph, what are you doing? It's Wednesday.
Yeah.
And I remember being, like, embarrassed. Like, oh, my God, this
You
guy's
don't
going to
tell
talk.
the coach of Penn.
And Dunph was like, oh, shoot. All right, we'll go watch film. What time you guys done? Around 1:15,
Exactly.
1:30? I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So I got to experience that. Then, not then, but before that, as a junior college player, we played Penn at Penn JV. At the Palestra, I think I told you a story. My dad, who didn't drive, huge sports fan and all that, I looked up, we came out for layups, and he was up in the stands. I had no idea he was coming. I had no idea
That's
how he
awesome.
got there. And I think when he saw me run out on the floor, I think maybe a tear
I
welled
would
up in
think
his
so.
eye. But
It's
my
the
dad wasn't
Palestra.
that emotional. And then to see my son play at the Palestra as a member of LaSalle when they played Penn there, that was cool. So, yeah, it's just an awesome place, and I tell everybody you have to experience it. Do we have any texts on the venue question, Ray?
Yes, we do. Some people checking in. A lot of people want to go up to Boston. And we have someone, James from Doylestown, checking in, wants to hit a home run over the Green Monster.
That
That's a
is
good
a
one.
great one.
Good one.
That's real. Have you ever been up there to Fenway,
Yes.
Ray?
That's
You
That's
have.
tremendous. Yes.
I've never watched the game there, but as I told you, I
Tremendous.
got a tour there from a nice security guard one day. What else we got?
Mike from Media, and also Sean from Media. So people that live in media, I guess, really like
Shout
this
out.
one. Want to hit a game-winning shot to clinch a series over Boston at the Garden.
Yeah. That's important, though. Clinch the series over Boston.
Yeah.
Not just hit any shot
That plays a big part of it. Yeah,
at the Garden.
yeah.
Joe,
That's not bad.
Joe on the cell here checking in, wants to kick a record field goal at Mile High Stadium.
Ooh. Well, if you're going to get
The
one,
thin air.
yeah, that's the place to hit a long one at Mile High Stadium. Little Yeah, bad story going on of a former Denver Bronco kicker, former Temple kicker. See how that works out, but I don't want to get into that. So what else? Any more venues, Ray? Do you have one, Ray? I haven't asked you this question.
I do. Hey, thanks, Bob.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'd love to hit a hole-in-one at the 16th hole at the Waste Management Open.
How did
Cue
that
the
one
party.
escape
That
us?
is
That's
awesome.
tremendous. That escaped you and I.
That is terrific, Ray.
For people watching on YouTube, you just saw the sheer joy from Bob and I when Ray said that. Just explosive joy.
Have you been out to the Waste Management?
No, and I know a lot of people got to go when the Eagles were out there for the Super Bowl.
Me included.
No, but I need to go. Like, I'm going to go. I'm gonna
Now
post
it's going
up
to
on
get dialed
16.
back.
I know. It was a
And
little
it's
bit of
the
a
shame
disaster.
of it. It's like you're walking on eggshells for the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
if you're a
hoping-
follower, it's a very much a party golf tournament.
Yes.
It's almost
especially
like-
at 16.
And at one point we were there and we're inside this venue, and I'm like, oh, shoot, that's right. We're at a golf tournament. It does. It feels like it's just a party with a golf tournament included. Ray,
Well done.
if I had a prize to give away, I'd give it to you.
That's well done.
So nice. The
Yeah,
prize is getting to work with you for the next 3 hours, Bob.
Wow.
Wow. You didn't seem like that on Friday when you were roasting me. But thank you. I appreciate that, Ray.
Well, yeah. The
Very
next 3
kind.
hours, we'll collect content for Friday.
That's right.
And that'll be the prize for everyone at the end of the week.
From the
Yes, it
two
will.
of you. 10 o'clock hour. It's brought to you by Window Nation. Take advantage of Window Nation's 50% off sale on all style windows. Plus, make no down payment with no payments and no interest for 12 full months. Just call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com. All right, when we get back, we got a lot on the table here today, but I need you to prepare yourself. You got to get ready for it. It's going to happen. Maybe it's happening now, but it's okay. There's no reason to get upset. I'm here to talk you off the ledge. I think Amy will agree with me on this one. Also, there was a death while I was away over the weekend. This man, I want to talk about it a little bit because Bill Walton brought me to tears as a 10-year-old little boy. I still remember exactly where I was, exactly how I felt. I hated him, absolutely hated him. He came full circle. Was lucky enough to meet him one time. I want to talk a little bit about Bill Walton and the effects that he had on not just sports, but the outlook of life in general. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5, The Fanatic. Welcome back, 11 o'clock hour here on this beautiful Wednesday morning. Hope you're doing well. Just a reminder, Tom McCarthy, voice of the Phillies, will be joining us at 11:30. Isn't that nice, Tom, getting up bright and early?
Bright and early. 'Cause
Yeah.
He's out in San Francisco.
Yeah,
That's a 3:45 game, so I
yeah,
imagine he wakes
exactly. So last night I texted him, and we're going back and forth and
extra
on.
innings, too, last night.
Yeah, and I was like, look, if it doesn't work, sometime this week, if it's cool. And he's like, no, I'm good tomorrow. You just name the time. And I was like, well, I want you to sleep in a little bit. How about this? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. No problem.
Good
Tom's the best. You can just tell, guy who loves his job. Him and Ruben talking about going out and golfing yesterday.
Yeah, why not?
So I wonder where they played out in San Francisco.
A
You got
lot
the
of-
Olympic. Isn't the Olympic Club out there?
Olympic is.
Now, I don't know if that's private, but those guys can get around that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually they have a couple people that can help him out
Yeah.
with that kind of stuff.
Exactly. I used to be amazed being on the road. Now, it's harder with the Sixers when I
Right.
was covering them because you're in a city, you're out of a city. You don't get to unpack.
Because you have the 3-day window when you're with the baseball, and sometimes a little
Right.
extra depending on when you traveled there.
Exactly. But the rare opportunity that you might have a couple, 2-3 days where the players would be able to go, it was kind of cool.
and Ruben went to Stanford, so
Yeah.
he probably knows a few folks out that way.
Yeah, they probably got some people, much like you.
I
You
they
can't
can-
travel in Philadelphia
Yeah.
without swinging a dead cat that somebody doesn't love Amy Fadul.
I don't know about that. I can't get us on to Olympic. I can tell you that much.
You could probably get us on Marion, and I'm looking forward to it. Rick and Easton talking about the Phillies here on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Rick?
Yeah, great topic today. I just wanted to chime in. I heard Tom Lasorda say before he passed away that he always took baseball in 8 different 20-game seasons, and he assessed the team after that. So I think right now, you look at the Phillies, the first 2 20-game seasons,
Right.
they did pretty well. Now they're in the middle of their third 20-game season. Let's see what happens. And, it's a long, talk about a marathon. We all played softball and baseball in high school and college, 30, 35 games maximum. It's 162 games at this level. I think it's a little too premature to get a little excited. I know why we do, because we're Philadelphia and we're starved for rings, and we want our fair share. So,
Rick, hold on one second. You went the opposite way I thought you were going to go. You said it's a little too premature, too. I thought you were going to say to get upset about this team. You went to get excited about this team.
Well, yeah, it's great to be excited because any time a team in Philadelphia looks this good, it's exciting for Philadelphia. You got to remember, I'm 66. In 1980, I got a chance to see what they did in 1980. 4 teams making the finals, and I saw all 7 rings that we have won. So I get it, and we still didn't get our fair share. If you look at the 4 major sports, of those cities that have 4 major sports, we have the least amount of rings.
Yeah.
So, yes, sure, it's exciting now because right now, pitching really is the number 1 key in this sport, no matter what you say. And right now, our pitching is not letting us down, and if we can take them through this marathon, I think that things could be pretty exciting in this city. We just have to wait, not get too off the bandwagon, because we're only in the third 20-game segment of this team. It's a long marathon.
No, you're right, Rick. Thanks so much for the call. Really appreciate it. It's an interesting way of looking at it. Through the years, and I'm sure you've done this too, Amy, I do talk to coaches. I do talk to players about how do you break down the season, because it was very interesting to me, and it hit me like early on one year where I think I was talking to Evan Turner in the locker room, and he was walking by. I'm like, you all right? He's like, oh, my God, we're only through 35 games. And he's like, this is a full college season.
A successful one.
Yeah, and he's like, I know I got to fight through this. And he's very cool about it, because that's the greatest thing about Evan. He was just honest about everything. And I was like, yeah, man, you got 35 more than 35 more to go. And if you make the playoffs, but it is a grind. Sports is, the likes of which I don't know if the everyday person that has an experience can really understand.
I mean, I don't know if you can.
Because I still don't, and I experienced it.
Yeah, I don't know if you can really put into words what it must be like for 162 games. 162. I mean, and we've talked about it before on the show, maybe shortening, because people have talked about maybe shorten everything. Maybe everything goes down a little bit. That's a long season. 82 games. 82 for the Flyers and for the Sixers. That's a long season. Now, they've added games to the NFL schedule as well. So it's just 162 in a span of not that many days, right? Because these guys will have 15 days on, 1 day off, 14 games in a row, 1 day off. So it's a lot. It is the true grind. But yeah, we're there at the third of the way of the season. You know, Memorial Day kind of starts when everybody should start looking at everything, being like, okay, well, where are we at? They're sitting pretty. 38 and 18.
Yeah, okay, real pretty. So before we get back on that, Rick just said this little side thing. Rick said something as he was talking. I wonder if
I saw you
there's...
write something down.
Yeah, I wonder. This is one of my... I'm not going to call it a pet peeve because it doesn't bother me. It's something that I notice a lot. Name, you know me as well as anybody. I love picking up on things and then discussing them like, all right, well, what do you mean by that? Like, what do you... And I think I learned a lot of that from Jimmy Lynam back in the day. But Rick said something that I wonder at what age do guys consistently do that.
It was when you
so
started,
I'm 66, he said. I hear guys, women don't do it. Guys do it. Is there a certain age that you hit and all of a sudden it comes into your head, I got to tell people how old I am? And nothing against you, Rick. I'm not putting you down at all.
He was just trying to, kind of enumerate what it was like for him because he's seen all of the championships.
Yeah.
He's a guy that has been around. I've seen it. I'm in my mid 60s. I've seen all of that stuff.
In Rick's case, he was labeling it to his sports history.
Right, which I think a lot of people do here.
There's other dudes, man. It's like you see them on the street. Oh, hey, how you doing? Hi, I'm John. How you doing? Good. I'm 67.
Oh, well, no.
Oh, okay, man. Or like somebody will take a golf swing on a course that you never played with before. Not bad for a 72-year-old,
No,
huh?
that is true.
Like, I swear, I hope it doesn't happen to me.
Unless
but I
you
think
shoot
it
your
gets
age.
into guys' heads. Oh, I'm 65 now. I got to let everybody know how old I am.
But it also happens sometimes when people are like, "Oh, I went out last night. I'm not 21 anymore." No,
I'm
you're
not
not.
Ray anymore.
I knew that was coming.
Sorry, Ray. I didn't mean to bring you in. You're not
that's out of
21.
love
Ray's
that
not
I say
21
that.
anymore.
No, he's
No,
24.
I'm not 21 anymore.
Yeah,
That's true.
accurate.
Despite any of the actions or the ways I'm described on this station, I'm not 21 anymore.
It's like,
No, you are not. You try to be.
he's still
No.
living it up. But no,
I think you're the perfect.
Age-
I pay my
24-year-old.
bills on
I
time.
think age is such a relatable number for a lot of people that they want to share that. Like, look at me, I did this, and I'm this old.
Now
It's
you have to-
experience.
Is it, or do you have to be proud of how you look and feel
yes, I think,
in order to give
I think
your
you're
age?
saying it in a proud way. Like I am, like someone said, if I shot 78 and I'm 75 years old, I would tell everybody in the history of the world that I almost shot my
your age.
I would tell everybody. I would wear it on a shirt.
Oh, you know how old I'm going to have to live
shot
to
my
shoot my
age.
age?
But we're all going to be out there when you're 102, and it's going to be wonderful. And I will watch that round, and I will cheer you on because I will not be in any way that
I'm
much
missing
older
that
than you
last
and
putt.
Ted.
I'm going to shoot a 103 at 102.
Did you ever choke on a putt?
Do I play
But-
golf?
Well, no, because I have this one particular instance.
I mean, I've never had like, oh my gosh, if I make this, I can shoot like the best round ever. Usually I'm not. I try not to set myself up for that kind of failure.
So we have a huge golf outing of my high school basketball team, which I just had a couple of weeks ago, which is phenomenal. But then we have a smaller outing, which is, say, like about 4 foursomes. I'm in the last foursome one day. Somehow word got out to the foursomes in front of us that Cooney's having a really good back nine. I had a 6-footer for 39 on the back nine over at, what's the place? In Deptford. Oh, my God. Riverwinds.
Riverwinds, great course.
And sure enough, all the Nimrods come out and like are standing on the green,
Oh,
and I
yes.
totally shanked a 6-foot.
6-footer?
And you know what?
I've definitely had ones where I'm like, oh, if I sink this will be birdie, and it's a really good hole for me. And then, of course, as soon as I think about it, not sinking it. But no, I've never had one where I've never shot a 39 on a back nine.
Yeah, it still makes me
Or a
mad.
30 or a 40.
It still makes it. It still
When I
ticks
break
me off,
50,
but-
I'm like, look at me, I got a 42.
No,
I
but
got
you
a
know
45.
what? You and
45
I
is usually
could go out
good.
there and shoot 120 and still gonna
It's
have
still
fun.
fun.
Like that's
Yeah.
just.
I like that
that's-
Riverwinds course. That's a good
Yeah,
course.
that is nice. That's just our personalities. But all right, I told you before we came to this segment, it's going to happen. Get yourself ready. You might be in a different position because of the beginning of the season, but it's going to happen. The Phillies are going to lose, I don't know, 11 out of 15, 12 out of 18. Like, it's going to happen. It happens every year to every team. It's like my buddy Joey Merton always tells me, look, every team wins 60. Every team loses 60, right? It's the 42 in between. What do you do with them? I mean, that comes from Joey told me that. I know somebody else came up with that quote way back. It might have been like Bob Uecker or something like that. But losing 4 of 5 has stirred the emotions just a little bit. I don't think an awful lot, but just a little bit when you're, playing the way the Phillies were playing. I think emotions ran a little bit higher, Aim, losing 4 of 5 because of the beginning of the season. Is it harder to accept when the beginning of the season is what it is? Or should it be easier because you're like, whoa, wait a second. They already put in the bank 24 games above 500. Now they hit this little stretch. It's back down to like 20. Like, it's okay. Where do you sit on it? Like, when that losing 11 out of 18 comes, how's fandom going to react?
I think you said should. Like, it should make me feel better that they've banked all those wins. The problem is it's harder to take because, not necessarily because of the way that they started, but because of who this team is, who's on this team, what you've seen them capable of, the pitching, the bats. You've seen everybody really step up. And I think that's been – and it was at Coors Field against – okay, I get it. But it's just like, really? Like, this team that's been averaging the most runs in baseball, best record in baseball, lowest ERA in the in your bullpen, guys that are on these incredible hitting streaks, guys hitting 300+, that's the team that's going to lose 4 or 5. Like, that's, to me, is like one of the more irritating things. It's not because that they're the best team in baseball record-wise in the 38 and 17, now 38 and 18. It's the fact that that they're capable, what they're capable of because of how that lineup is stacked and how the pitching has gone. That's
Right.
probably it.
In a basketball game, in a hockey game, especially in a football game, and Ray has heard me say this a lot of times before, no matter what, I want to take something out of that game. If the Sixers win by 40, lose by 40, the Flyers get shut out, I want to take something out of the game. And there are times games are played, and I'll just be like an Eagles game, and I'll say, I got nothing out of that. Like, they lost. They look like crap. I don't see anything you could have built off of that game, so on and so forth, whatever the team may be. With this 4 out of 5 game stretch that the Phillies have lost, what I extract from it is what I've said before. A couple of those games were anomalies in my mind. You didn't give up an earned run last night in 10 innings, and you lost. You get Bryce Harper thrown out for basically saying, hey, can I ask you a question? And an itchy umpire, number 120, decides to get all cool. Maybe he heard that Angel Hernandez was retiring, and he said, you know what, somebody's got to take over that mantle. Exactly. So I don't know what it was. But do you extract anything much from a 4 out of 5? Or if it grows to, 10 out of 15, say they lose, is it time that you dig deeper? Do you know who this team is, and that's something that happens?
I think you know who this team is, but it doesn't mean you can't examine it a little bit further. And I think we touched on it, some of the defensive deficiencies. There's guys that are okay defensively at their position. There's guys that are batting okay. I think it's times like these that those are amplified a bit. Nick Castellanos' struggles have been well talked about, well-versed. They're showing up really, really strong right now because it's like, well, if they had anything out of right field, maybe they would be able to scratch another run across or a run in last night's case. When you're looking at these games, 3-2, 1-0. Like you're telling me the guy that you paid all that money to in right field couldn't have maybe scratched off just one more?
And look what he did the next night. I mean, that's
the thing.
That's who
so
he
it's
is.
like, all right, the left on base. That's always an irritating stat to me, just because when you look, it's like 1 for 8. So little things like that do become a little bit more amplified when you're on a skid like this 4 of 5 because you already knew it. You already knew that they've had some troubles bringing guys in this recent stretch. You already knew that the right fielder has struggled. You already knew that there's some defensive deficiencies, but now it's like, oh, do I need to look at those a little bit more? Maybe I need to look at them just a smidge more.
Yeah, a smidge
more. Which I think is fair. I'm not saying you need to blow everything up and be like, well, that's it, tons of moves coming at the trade deadline. No, I just feel like needs to be maybe a little bit more of an examination of the things you were already aware of.
So you bring up Nick Castellanos, and we haven't really talked about him at all today, or Taijuan Walker, but we'll talk about Nick Castellanos here. In Castellanos, you're not getting an awful lot. In Rob Thompson, I think we know that you have a manager that is going to stick with the older guys that have gotten you there before, that have been a part of what's been really successful 2 seasons of a World Series appearance, a National League Championship Series appearance. Like, those are 2 good things. Nick Castellanos was a huge part of that thing. Ray, I'll go to you first on this. Do you change anything up with Castellanos? Do you now a change up? I don't think you bring somebody else in to play right field, but that's just me. I think I agree with Rob Thompson right now. What about you? What's your outlook?
I think it's about time he gets a day off.
A day off, yeah.
I think it's about time. The fact that he's the only guy that's playing every day, has played every day, I mean, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Like, if we're concerned about Marsh against lefties, concerned about Stott against lefties, I'm concerned about Castellanos against anyone right now.
Against pitching.
Yeah. Like, and not even necessarily just pitching. Someone throwing in his general
himself.
vicinity. Like, he's flailing at everything.
His biggest challenge is himself.
Yeah, I understand they want to see him try and hit his way out of this.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Take a seat on the bench. Look at the game for just a little bit. Like, a month ago, if we were having this conversation, fine. Try and hit yourself out of it. June's going to be here in a couple of days, and his average is still somewhere around 200. Like, he's not figuring it out. Is it 200 exactly?
I think it's just under.
Just under. All right. Well, yeah.
I'll look it up.
Even more reason.
Yeah.
Give the guy a day. I understand he might be upset about it in the moment, and I'll be honest with you, if he's upset about it in the moment, are we worried about losing him mentally? Because right now, he's not there physically.
I can't imagine. I mean, if you're in that, and I know he's professional and he gets paid what he gets paid and he's been in baseball a long time, but if you're in the moment that he is having and your manager comes to you and says, we're going to give you a day, could you really look him in the eye and be like, no way?
I think that conversation's been had.
You think it has?
I did. Now, this is just me. I'm not disagreeing with you or anything at all. I can't imagine
They
that
haven't
during
talked to
this
him about
rough
that?
string, and you're a personable manager with your players, the way
Right.
Rob Thompson
Yeah,
is.
I could see it. I
Hey,
guess.
Nick, you cool? Like, do you need a day or do you? And Cass said, no, man. I got to work my way out of this. And I think Rob Thompson said, okay, just wanted to check. Because if you need a day, let me know. If you want to work
Yeah.
through it, great.
Hey, can you just say, I'm giving you the day?
It's coming to that. I
Yeah.
think Ray's right. Like,
We're
I think
here.
it's kind of, hey, Nick, listen, let's just
We're just gonna do
reset
this.
a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
reset a little bit. Take a
199
day
right
off.
now.
Now, what do you do? Is that like a, I'm trying to
You
think.
shift everybody over.
So,
In the outfield?
Yeah, because
I got Pache out there. I got Rojas, who you enjoy.
I guess
so
Marsh
much.
can go over and maybe play a little right field. God,
They've moved
what a
him to center.
slap-happy little group that is of
Well,
outfielders, isn't it?
Right now,
Like-
I'll be honest with you, even with the power hitter out there in right field,
Yeah.
it's a pretty light producing
It is
outfield.
very light producing.
I mean, unless he runs into one once a week, you're not exactly seeing a ton of power coming out of that outfield right now. Like, it seems crazy to say, given the contracts, their stature in this league, yada, yada, yada. Pache out there in right field versus Castellanos out there in right field in terms of production right now, how much am I missing? Unless it's the
I hear
one
you.
game a week
Yeah.
where he runs into one and sends it out. Right now, you're looking at a production level from him that is just disastrous.
I just saw, and hi to our YouTube friends. I'm sorry, I just logged on for the first time today. I'm kind of out of sort, team. You know how it is, first day back, you're kind of out of sort.
Yeah.
I called it Mundo Sosa. I meant to say Johan Rojas earlier in case you missed that. I know you two didn't. But somebody,
not.
I know you didn't. On our YouTube page, this is a good one. Sean Comp. Harper's going to start referring to Castellanos as 120 due to his batting average. That's not
Well
what you
done.
want.
No,
but
not good.
I mean, something has to be done soon. A change has to be made. And some of the guys bring it up, and I saw it yesterday, like he hit a pitch right down the middle that he missed. 0-1. I talked about it 2 years ago when he was going really bad. I said, look, when Castellanos gets up, just put the count at 1-2 because that's where he was all the time 2 years ago. The other night, one right down the middle, he missed. Then they come in on him at the hands, was nowhere near.
Yeah, he's
and then
not
it's
a
just
good
it's just
two-strike hitter.
over. No.
Not a good two-strike
No,
hitter.
and then it's just over. So probably a day has to become, maybe it's today. We'll probably get the lineup. We will get the lineup
Yeah.
in a little bit that we'll be able to share with you. A reminder, Tom McCarthy, voice of the Phillies, he'll be joining us when we get back. I also have another fun little question that I want to put out to you, and it concerned a Giants player last night who another bad mustache. The kid Brooks was making his major league debut, and they show his family, and it's cool, and he's blowing kisses before the game. I can't imagine what it's like as a parent, a brother, whatever, watching your sibling, your son, making their major league debut. But I have a question about it that we might be able to have some fun with. So Tom McCarthy's going to join us in about 10 minutes. Amy Fadul's here all day. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back to the Fanatic 1130 here. Middays, as Amy Fadul is with us all day long, which we absolutely love. Ray Dunn producing. What a great day it is out there. And Andrew Salciunas has ensured that the Phillies will win today.
By him going?
No, just by him saying it's going to happen. They're not going to get swept. Yeah. So, but somebody that will be at the game today and who was on our Comcast business hotline is the one, the only, the voice of the Phillies, Tom McCarthy. Tom, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you guys? Amy, how are you?
Good, Tom. Always good to talk to you.
I got you up early this morning. I apologize for that. Very nice of you to agree to join us today, Tom.
Bob, I'm trying to stay on East Coast time, so I actually was up at 3:30 and did fall back to sleep for a little bit, but I've been successful in doing it, which might be an idiotic thing to do, but I'm trying to make sure I wake up early tomorrow. So.
I could never. So going out there, I thought was easier. Coming home, that's good that you do it. Like when I would go out west, I would just adapt to the time. I wasn't as smart as you. And then coming home, it would kick me in the butt.
I'm not saying it's smart. Bob, I'm not saying it's smart. It actually, there were a couple of mornings where I thought it was really dumb, quite honestly.
I could absolutely see that. So you got an afternoon game out there today. A little bit of a skid going on here, Tom, as you very well know, losing 4 out of 5. I was saying to Amy earlier, what I've always tried to do during my professional sports career is extract something, whether it be from a game, good or bad, a series, good or bad, whatever it may be. Is there anything that you can extract from just this little 5-game series? Because some fans here are trying to do that in a way that's probably not all that positive.
Well, I do think what happened yesterday with Zach Wheeler was really good. I mean, he continued to be good. There's also, as strange as it sounds, Ranger Suarez and Aaron Nola had arguably their worst first 3 innings of games, but then still were able to figure it out and get through 6. I was talking to Ranger yesterday, 2 days ago about this, and I said, what did you change? He said, I was just stupid early on. And I said, well, why? He said, because what worked earlier in the year for him didn't work at Coors Field. So I took away from that, I mean, maybe this is too small to think about, as far as the positive goes. But I took away from that he's continuing to grow, which means it's going to help as he gets through this year, because he didn't have his best stuff for the first couple innings. But then all of a sudden, I mean, he was on fire. So that was good. The big thing is the offense is scuffled. And anytime the offense scuffles, it doesn't matter how good the pitching is. It just doesn't look good. So that's, I think, what they have to try to figure out is to get some of these guys going, to get back on this sort of winning way. Last night was pretty bad. I mean, they've gone through, I think it's 3 games now where they haven't scored an extra inning. Mm-hmm. And that is odd for any Major League Baseball team.
Yeah, especially since they start, as everybody knows, with the runner on second. And you would think with this offense, you'd be able to get him home. Speaking of the offense, we know that they have been scuffling, but Edmundo Sosa, when you're looking at, and I don't want to call it a setback, but Trey Turner, they kind of pulled him back a little bit from some of the ramping up as far as his running, and he felt a little soreness. How big is it to have a guy who was another, 2 hits last night, so he's back up to 325, I think, in the game since Trey Turner has missed. I think his batting average is over 360 at this point. How big is it to have that little piece in your pocket to know if you have any kind of injury or any guy that needs a day off, here's Sosa?
Yeah, I think it's really important, Amy. I think back to the 2008 team where they had guys like Eric Bruntlett and Greg Dobbs, people like that they can put in, that Charlie can put in when he's looking for a day off for somebody. And then, Bruntlett obviously sat in for Jimmy Rollins on different occasions when Jimmy injured himself up in New York at Shea Stadium. I think it's really big to have this. He's not an everyday player, which I think at this point, could he be? Well, maybe for some teams, but maybe not this team. But to be able to do this for pretty much the entire month of May, I mean, it's been since May 4th, is not only important for him, but even more so important for the Phillies that they can lean on him. Because here's the thing. He's played really well at shortstop, but God forbid something else happens to somebody when Trey comes back. He can play third and second and not miss a beat. So that's a good thing. I mean, I think the way he's played, the little jolt that Cody Clemens has given them, I think this is big, and I think it helps in the formula for a championship team.
We're talking to Tom McCarthy on the Comcast Business Hotline. And, Tom, one of the few consistent not good things for the Phillies this year has been Nick Castellanos. And we were just talking about it a little earlier. I'm kind of the belief that, we know Rob Thompson a little bit, that he likes to stick with the guys that got him there, and that's okay. I'm fine with a manager or coach doing that. We were wondering has Rob Thompson gone to Nick Castellanos at some point this year and say, Nick, you good? Do you need a day? And Castellanos says, no, I'm good. What do you think is best, and how do you think it's played out?
Well, I do think he's done that. I think he did it actually last week, and I think there's a chance he doesn't play today. I mean, there's a left-hander on the mound, so that's where it's difficult to sit him if you want to have right-handed bats in the order. Rob, I mean, he's started, I think, and played almost every inning of every game. But Rob is a very loyal manager, and it's not to a fault. It's actually to the strength of his skills, and he's a very loyal manager to his coaches too. So I think this is the first time that they haven't been able to overcome what Nick has been struggling to do, if that makes any sense. So it's probably accentuated a little bit more. Listen, he's hitting under 200 or around 200. It keeps teetering back and forth. This can't be sustainable for him. But I do think that I do think there's a chance he doesn't play today. I could be wrong, but I do think Rob is extremely loyal and will let him just keep going out there until he tries to figure it out. I can't imagine this is going to be this is going to be for the rest of the season. I kind of look at it like Trey last year, where he'll eventually get out of it because he's just a better player than this on so many levels.
Yeah, and I think that we've seen when he's had these little spurts in this lull that he's shown more patience at the plate. He hasn't been chasing the bad pitches, and I think sometimes that snowballs for him. And Bob was talking about it earlier, just the progression even in at bat. I know the frustration. You can see it. You can see it as it goes through each at bat, each swing.
No doubt.
And it's interesting when we're at 38-18 with the best record in baseball, and the guys that have been performing as well as they have, and the Zach Wheelers and Aaron Nolas and Ranger Suarez, that we go and we look for little things like, where can we get better? Where can we talk about this? Taijuan Walker, I know he went 6 innings, which I think was better because he started off really shaky, on Monday, and then he did hammer it down a little bit, but he had a couple of walks that came back to haunt him. Then he had the 5 earned runs. With Spencer Turnbull out there in the bullpen, and the commitment has been to Taijuan Walker, and that's for a myriad of reasons. I think the contract certainly plays into that. How much do you think that they go and see Walker for another 2 starts? And if he struggles again, do you think that they would go to Turnbull and make him a starter again?
Oh, it's funny. Yesterday, Rob was kind of asked about Taijuan, and even privately, he sort of gives us a little. I think we know him well enough to know his body language. Mm-hmm. I think he was actually pretty pleased with the way Taijuan threw the other day.
You're right.
Now, does that mean that he's not going to make a change eventually? No. I mean, if he senses that there's an issue, he'll make a change. We are getting to the point, though, where Spencer Turnbull is no longer stretched out for the long term. So I do believe that if it happens, there could be sort of a piggyback objective to it. That's my only thing, is that we're getting to the point now where Spencer is probably a 3-inning pitcher and would have to be stretched out to get back to a 5 or 6. I would think that you can look at somebody like Michael Mercado down in AAA, who is really stretched out and is throwing very well, as a possibility if the Phillies need somebody, or if they think that they need to lean on somebody else to be a starter. Because Turnbull will still have to. I mean, he's going to have to be stretched out. I'm not saying he wouldn't be the guy, but I still think that they have to stretch him back out again to make him a 5 or 6 inning pitcher.
Tom, they're coming off of 2 unbelievably successful seasons. Obviously, a World Series appearance. We know about the class, but they were still in the National League Championship Series. What's different about this year's club compared to maybe the other 2 clubs that I just talked about?
They're mad. I think that's the biggest thing. I think that, and we've talked about this before, and Rob talked about it, I think even the other day, the way they lost in the National League Championship Series last year to a team that I think privately feel like they were better then. I think that bothers them. And I do think that for athletes, when you have something to strive for and something that that's leading you, I think that's a big deal. So I think that's where they're different. I think Zach Wheeler is actually better. I think Aaron Nola is better because physically I think they're better. But I also think where Ranger Suarez has improved makes them an even more legitimate 1, 2, 3 in that rotation. But I do think that losing last year to the Diamondbacks still bothers this team.
56 down, 12 to go. No, less than that, 108 to go. So 106, thank you, 106. Math is not my forte, clearly. When you look at how this schedule is kind of made up now with a third of the season under their belts, do you think this is the time you start really gravitating towards, all right, now we need to hone in on, okay, well, it's because June's coming, then it's July, you have the All-Star break, and then once it's after the All-Star break, I feel like it's just a speed to the finish. I feel like that last 2 months of the season goes very fast. At what point do you think that people really start, within the organization, really start paying attention?
Well, I think they are now. I think that, I think the last 2 years with the Rays last year and the Mets the year before, they understand that sustaining what they've accomplished, which is the best record in baseball at this point, it's hard. I mean, those two teams got off to really good starts and sort of wilted at the end. I think the goal of this one will to try not to be. The record is the record against. For the rest of the year, the teams are a little over 500. Now that does teeter back and forth between from day to day. Like this Giants team, when they faced them earlier this month, they were less than 500. Now they're a 500 team. So I think is so conscious of trying to sustain what they've done and understanding that they've only played one series against the Braves. And even though the Braves are banged up, they still have 3 series left against them. Their radar's up about that. They know that there's a long season left to go. So I think my thing, Aim, is that they're trying to stay humble. They're understanding this is a long year. And I think they got a guy that's in charge that won't let them sort of reflect on this great start, but look ahead to what could be a great season.
Good point. Really good
Tom,
point.
we want to thank you for joining us
Thanks,
so
Tom.
early out there. Safe travels back here. And I got good news for you, Tom, which I know you know, having been on a beat before. You look for where the travel is. You're home for 8 games. Then it's just Boston and Baltimore. No big deals. And then you're home for 6 more games. So you got a lot of good time on the East Coast coming up.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that.
I know you are.
Looking forward to the trip next week, too. So I'm excited for England to see this team.
Yes, London is going to be great.
Yes, that will be fun. Tom, thanks so much.
Tom.
You know how much we appreciate you.
All right, guys.
All right,
You
take
got
care,
it.
buddy. Tom McCarthy joining us here from San Francisco. Always appreciated. A lot of good stuff there. When we get back, we'll talk a little bit more about what we talked with Tom McCarthy. All that, a whole lot more. We still have some Eagles things I want to bring up to Amy and Ray, looking at the individual defensive side of the ball. This is Midday's Bob Cooney, 97.5, The Fanatic. 8 middays. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for sticking with us. Whatever it may be, we appreciate you. Hope you're having a great Wednesday afternoon. Feels weird the first day back at work and it's
a Wednesday
already. Yeah. So I guess tomorrow's my hump day.
Must be nice.
Don't be upset, Ray.
I won't be.
Okay. Good. You should be happy for me as opposed to being mad that I wasn't here.
I'm
and
so
making
happy
fun
for you.
of me, behind my back, behind my ears also.
Is it behind your back if it's publicly broadcasted?
That's not really how that works.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean,
Okay.
if you want, I'll pull all of the audio of
No, I don't
us
want
making
that.
fun. No, I mean, if you
You're
want.
the one that admitted to me that you and Amy had a lot of fun on Friday. Like, oh, we don't know if Bob's ever coming back. How do you know? How do you know my phone wasn't flooded with? Oh my God, is everything okay with you?
We just said you were on a world cruise.
Yeah. You were in Greece. Well, actually, no, I think you got to Greece yesterday.
No, that's Barkan. He's in
Yes.
Greece. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people apparently going to
Yeah.
Greece.
Well, we
I stayed
also-
in Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
You were also in the Bahamas at one point.
Yes.
Was I?
Yeah.
It was a very tropical day on
Wow.
Friday for
Right,
us.
yeah.
We
Did I
really
have
had
fun?
It sounded like it.
Oh, okay.
You had a lot of beer in our brain. There was a lot of
You were in
beers
the
consumed.
pool a lot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't
You
make it
made
in the
friends with
pool
the
all the
bartender?
way. I was around the pool. I did put my feet in a few times.
Over the 5 days, you didn't once make it into the pool?
Well, the kids were in. There was a couple of days that were a little wonky. Two or three of the days were hot enough. The kids floated or swam. I was like maintenance guy. I put my feet.
The pool
in
boy.
I am the pool boy. I do get made fun of at how often I go out and skim the pool. I just like being outside.
It's very zen, though, that like skimming the pool.
Oh.
It's my dad used to really like that.
Oh my God, it really is. Like I could watering the flowers to me. Like it's like I ran inside the other day and I go, they're blooming, and my wife looks at me like you're an idiot. Okay, that's what flowers do.
Usually
They
every
bloom.
spring, yeah.
But yeah, I'm out there, I'm watering and all. One of our plants, so we got a new one, and it came out droopy. And my wife planted like we did all day Saturday. We were planting fiends. So it was droopy, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, oh, man, did we get a dead plant? So so I didn't want to say to her, did you water it when you planted it, or did you just put it on out and water the heck out of it? Not 10 minutes later. Zoop. Perfect.
It's a good thing you didn't bring that
It's
up,
awesome.
though, about
No, good thing she's not listening. So I had mentioned on the air before that we talked about some of the biggest free agent signings in Philadelphia history, and somebody brought up, well, Bob, you were around when they signed Pete Rose back in 1980. And I was like, yeah, I hate Pete Rose. He was the kind of guy that when he was on the other
Did
team,
you
you said
hate him
you
at
hated
the time?
him. Yeah.
Okay.
He was the kind of guy that, honest to God, people would be like, oh, if he's on the other team, you hate him. But once he comes to your team, you love him. I still hated him. So our friend down at our sister station, that guy, he's kind of strange.
No, he's a great guy.
Casey boy.
Love Casey boy.
He is the best. He brought me a present. I'm showing it to the YouTube people right now, and it's a framed picture of Pete Rose head first sliding,
Yeah,
I believe, against the
literally
Montreal Expos.
Literally getting Charlie Hustle like in embodiment right there.
He was 36 years old when the Phillies signed
They
him
didn't
as
call
a
him Charlie
free-
Hustle for nothing.
No, they did not. Never liked him. That came from my dad. My dad never really gave me all that much advice. There was two things that he said. One was, if you're ever good enough to play for Bobby Knight at Indiana and you decide to do so, I will shoot you in the leg. The other was, if you ever decide to try to become a professional boxer, I will shoot you in the leg. And the third one was, never, ever like Pete Rose.
Okay. It did,
Three.
was that also a maiming type of vibe? If you liked Pete Rose, I will also shoot you in the leg?
No, he
Or-
wasn't
okay.
shooting me over Pete Rose. He was going to let me, live for
You could
that
live.
one.
Well,
He
you
just
would
didn't
live
want
when the
me to
other
like
ones,
him.
you would just have an injury to your leg.
Well, if he got you in the right part of the leg, it could be
femoral
sure,
artery
yeah, like
situation.
something
Jeez.
like that. But yeah, my dad was.
He took a turn.
Yeah, I've often thought of my dad. Now he hasn't been around. He died in like 98.
Do your dad feel a little justification for how things ended with Pete Rose, considering he didn't like him back then?
I don't think so. He
Oh.
just never brought him up. My dad didn't show a lot of emotion, but when the Phillies made that run in 1980, he started something. First game of the playoffs, he was sitting home watching the game, and he kept score against, I think it was like the Astros. Sitting at home, I never saw my dad do anything like this. He goes, yeah, I just thought I'd do it.
Like the Phillies
Yeah.
box score.
Yeah, just kept score.
Right.
And then he did it all throughout the series run, and they won the World
Oh, no,
Series.
that's
So
something fun.
he took a lot of so then when they made the World Series again in 83, I was like, oh, you're going to keep – he's like, no.
It is.
No, that was
it's
a
not
one-
easy to keep my grandfather taught me how to do that, keep score.
There's so many different ways you can
It's a
do it,
lot.
too.
Yeah, we do the drawing.
Oh, absolutely. All right, so you know how I like to throw out the fun little questions?
Yes.
Right, to you guys especially. And anyone that wants to respond to it, 610-632-0975. Last night I'm watching the game. Yeah, you guys know how good I am at what's-his-face. So some dude, Brooks. The dude Brooks was playing first base last night for the San Francisco Giants. I didn't even feel like looking up his first name. So he's making his major league debut. They show him before the game in the dugout. He's blowing kisses at his family. They show, I think it's his brother and maybe his parents or a wife or somebody up there. And they're all there, and it's the major league debut. And I love it. That's great. Congratulations. He gets his first at bat against Zach Wheeler.
Tough go.
I got to tell you, right?
Tough go.
So this is what I thought of. If we were fortunate enough to make a major league debut, what would be one of the toughest ones you could make? My first mind went to, my first boxing match as a heavyweight. I'm going against Mike Tyson.
That's not.
Like something like that. But if you have one, a major league debut, be specific. What are the circumstances surrounding it? Because my poor man Brooksy last night, did you look up his first name? My man Brooks last night. Trenton Brooks. He's named after the capital of New Jersey, so he's got to be a decent dude. But that's tough. Zach Wheeler, hey, welcome to the big leagues. 98 miles an hour, right at your ear if he wanted to. That's kind of a tough one.
Yeah.
Do you have one?
And I feel like you need it for this to really work. You need a mano-a-mano situation.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, you can't say, like, I'm going against the Boston Celtics because you're not going against it's not you one-on-one.
Yeah.
I think you
I'm
could come
covering
up with
Giannis Antetokounmpo in my first
that's
NBA
not
game.
ideal, but I feel like there's ones that are, like, a little bit more like, oh, that's not good. If you're a tennis player and you're going against, I don't know, Rafa Nadal or Venus Williams or Serena Williams for your very first, and she has that 110-mile-an-hour serve and just goes right, I'll just see myself out. Thank you, guys.
That's not bad. How about this? You make your first PGA Tour appearance, and they pair you with Tiger Woods.
I keep everything in the bag, and I just say, we're going to go ahead and just walk this one. The best is, they showed those clips, and I love watching old golf stuff because they do a lot of throwbacks, and there was one recently, and I should text Sean, he'll know it. There was a guy that went against, and he had some comments to say against Tiger. Oh, it's not that. Everybody said so big bad to go against Tiger. I think the guy, he got paired with Tiger the next day, and I think Tiger lapped him. I think he beat him by like 10 or 12 strokes.
DeMarco?
No.
Okay.
DeMarco has said something similar. There's a guy that you've never heard of or never heard of again. I'll get it in the break. But he had something similar. It was an older gentleman, and Tiger was young, but this was young, good Tiger.
Oh, okay.
He's like, I don't see what the big mystique is. Oh, you're going to learn, fella.
Yeah.
You're going to learn. And he learned.
Amy threw a fella out there.
That fella did learn.
Ray threw a goodness gracious earlier, I wanted to note, because I
told you I talk like an old lady.
Well, he's jumped the line where he goes down to 18-year-olds now and says, now listen here.
Yeah.
You got to put context in everything you say, Bob. You make me sound awful
What
here.
did you say?
I said carrying on.
Stop carrying on.
Stop carrying on.
I don't think that needs any context.
No, but you mean the going to the 18-year-olds. I was at the high school graduation party.
It doesn't need context. You shouldn't be saying stop carrying on at 20.
Kid.
For goodness gracious, come on. What are we doing here, Ray?
I dropped the G's Louise. You didn't hear it.
I'm the oldest one here, and you guys talk older than I do. All right, we get back. We got. I don't talk old. I might make a lot of mistakes, but I don't talk old. All right, there's names being thrown around once again, and Keith Pompei is going to join us at 1 o'clock to talk about it when it comes to the Philadelphia Phillies. We have a lot on the plate. We'll keep going with it, Uncle Frank. Hold yourself there. We'll get right to you. This is Middays, 97.5 The Fanatic. maybe you're having your lunch right now. If you are, we're so glad you're joining us, whether it's on the app, your phone, the radio, your car, wherever it may be, YouTube, whatever you want. We're glad that you are here. Lots of Phillies talk going on this morning. We talked to Tom McCarthy, who was out in San Francisco getting ready to call this afternoon's game. I think we're all on the same page. Like, everything's okay. It's a 4 or 5 game that could look. I'm fine. If it grows into they've lost 12 of 20, okay, well, then maybe you start to get your panties in an uproar a little bit. But no, it's okay. It's baseball. 4 out of 5 isn't. There's a couple of anomalies in those 4 losses. One being that your pitching staff didn't give up an earned run and you lost the game. That was last night. Another one where higher scoring game, your best hitter is taken out, thrown out of the game in the first inning by an overzealous umpire who threw you out because you said, how far out are we going to go with balls and strikes today?
Tell me what we're working with here.
Yeah. How many times have you seen conversations be had with umpires and players, referees and players? It happens all the time.
I mean, I will say that on the list of active ejected players, Bryce Harper is number 1, and it ain't close. But I think it's because he knows when he's going to get ejected. And I think that's when you saw him turn and it's like, I'm not trying to get thrown out. These guys know what they need to say. Same in basketball. Yeah. They know what they need to say if they want to go ahead and hit the deck early. Yeah. They know what they need to say, and he didn't say it.
That was the second worst Phillies ejection I've ever seen.
What was the worst?
JT Realmuto.
Oh, that was...
Remember?
That, yes.
Right, you remember that? It was a spring training game, right?
Oh, yeah.
When he reached back to get the ball from the umpire, and the umpire didn't give it to him right away, so he put down his glove, and the umpire dropped the ball, and he threw him out. He thought he was trying to show him up.
It was so great. It was one of those, like, what am I watching? What did I just see? Because it was spring training. I'm like, okay. That guy's number must have been like 400 for the umpire.
Yeah, we're not going to see him no more.
He's not coming up for a while.
No. And 120... 120 was still in the whole series, I believe. I saw him again.
Yes, because he was at third base the next day, and I think he might have been at second. So usually they just rotate them around.
Yeah, I didn't know if he was a fill-in for the weekend.
I think a lot of people will be checking to see if 120 comes East Coast.
Yeah, 120 was a little overzealous, as we said. Uncle Frank wants to talk a little bit of Phillies. Uncle Frank, you're on 97.5, The Fanatic. I messed up. Uncle Frank. I can't.
There you go.
Yes. How are you, buddy?
You're trained professional. You picked right up on it.
I'm trying.
Happy Wednesday to all.
You too, buddy.
Yes. By the way, Bobby, I have poor skimming. I loathe it. Now, a property is surrounded by a bunch of tulip poplars, and they're the messiest damn trees, so that attributes to it.
I find it comforting, Frank.
Yeah, I know. I heard you. I got you.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what it is about this damn city of San Francisco, guys. Doesn't it seem like, to me anyway, every time the Fightins go there, it's like they get off the plane and they just get enveloped into some state of malaise. I mean, it's just, it's uncanny. It just doesn't seem, they don't seem to do well there.
Is there anything to worry about, Frank?
No. It's a 162-game season. They're going to have these periodical hiccups. You know, I just feel bad for Wheeler because occasionally they don't hit for him, and he has been lights out. But I am not alarmed.
Not alarmed. I'll take it.
I'm with you, Frank. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Uncle Frank, concise, right to the point. We brought up last week, I think you may have been here, Aim, I'm not sure, about venues that you go to that you just never, feel all that great about when it comes. Ray, do you remember this? We were talking about, places you go to when the Phillies go to play there, and you're just like, yeah, I never felt good when they went there. I said that mine was San Francisco.
Yes.
I just never feel good, all the way back to Candlestick and all. I don't know why.
They don't play well there. They don't play well there.
Seem like
they don't play well against it at Coors Field. It's kind of odd. And there's been people that point out, well, that's kind of just a fluky stat. It is, because you're talking about different players. Some of these go back to 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
It's completely different players on this. And yet, I think that's what makes it weirder, that they still struggle. It doesn't matter who's out there. They just struggle. They just see it and they're like, ooh, we don't like this.
Yeah.
Not good.
Was
Do
yours?
Not like.
Somebody's was Cincinnati, I thought. I thought it
Great
might have
American?
been Razor. Yeah, I thought somebody's was Cincinnati. Maybe we were talking about it off air.
Marlins,
also.
I feel like Marlins.
Oh,
They struggle down there at Marlins Park. That's a giant ballpark down there.
Yeah.
Very cavernous.
Oh, yeah, I've gone past. I've never been in it.
Just really big.
Right after it was built, we were down there and we took a ride. Not a very great area to be in either. But, Yeah, San Francisco, I could see there being distractions if you're a professional team going to San Francisco. And
Miami has those.
Miami
yeah.
does also.
South Beach.
I'm not a huge Miami guy.
No? Yeah, no. I
No.
like the other side of Florida.
Yeah?
The Gulf side.
Yeah, you're a West Coaster of Florida. Like you're the Naples person.
Yeah, Naples is amazing.
Yeah, Clearwater.
Clearwater.
Yeah, Clearwater is amazing. We were there not too long ago. You
I don't know.
weren't there.
Yeah, I was going to say
Not you.
we. I don't know who this we
Well, I
you
was
speak
gonna
of
say,
here.
Like, yeah.
I was right
You
here.
were there.
I heard you talking about how much you were enjoying it while
Yes.
we were off the air. And
Yeah,
I was-
my family was with me too.
Oh, that's great.
Made it
That's
wonderful.
very nice.
Yeah, Tasty Cake Dom, you're on the cell. What's going on, Dom?
Hey, Bob. Hey, Amy.
How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Dom.
I'm doing great. Bob, Amy just made me think of something. You talked about your first fight. You're going to fight Tyson, right? How about this one, Amy? How about if you're a tennis player, you finally get a Grand Slam, and you got to beat Rafael Nadal on that red clay in France? Guy won it 14 times. That's a tough spot.
Don't like my chances in that one there. Very tough.
So I thought that was a good
That's
one.
a good one, Dom.
Very good.
What about the Phillies? Are you concerned at all?
Nah, I'm not.
Good.
I think
You're a
everything
smart
you said
man.
was right. But what a great interview with T-Mac. Like last night was, your stopper gives you throws goose eggs for 6 innings. You can't get a run. Was irritating, but that happens in baseball. But this team's just too good that they're gonna, they could turn around. The one thing about this pitching staff is you don't have one stopper. You got 3 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So I don't think that. I mean, even though they lost 4 out of 5, I don't think that's going to happen consistently. And I think they're just going to turn around and they're going to win 4 out of 5.
See, you sound like a common sense fan, Dom.
Well, I mean, I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of baseball. This is the best baseball I've seen in a long time.
So what's your venue, Dom? We talked about it earlier. We put it out to fans. I said if there was a venue I could do something at, it would be Oracle Park and hit one into McCovey Cove.
Yeah,
What do you
it's
got?
The same. I'm going to answer the same with the same answer, Bob. I'd love to play a set of tennis on that red clay in France to find out why the greatest players in the world can't win. McEnroe never won there. He won everywhere else. Sampras never won there. He won everywhere else. Roger Federer won 6 times everywhere. He only won one. What is it about that clay that's so different that great tennis players can't win there? I would love to find that out.
I think I have an answer for you, Dom. Thanks so much for the call. It's the groin. You have to have like a really good groin to be able to play on there
With the
because there's a
sliding.
lot of sliding. Like you're
slide it.
stopping and sliding and
Yeah.
that's like you saw people hit like they're
Just keep on
hitting
going.
forehands while they're sliding.
Yeah, you do kind of keep going. That's a good point.
That's pretty cool. I wouldn't mind playing like you're probably a good tennis player. I wouldn't mind playing like a round of
No.
10. Ray already has the greatest answer on venue.
Honestly,
Hitting a hole in one at the 16th at the Waste Management.
incredible.
I just want to see the party.
Yes.
That's-
I just want to run up there and everybody's going nuts.
Caddy's race.
Yeah.
It is.
Hole in one would be awesome too, just anywhere.
You go places and you how many times do you come out and you go, yeah, that didn't live up to my expectations. That place, Waste Management in Phoenix, that is unbelievable. It lived up to every expectation.
How much do you think
I
they
had of it.
overcorrect it this coming year?
It's
They
going to be a
limit
lot
it?
different.
Yeah.
You have to. Now they have a lot of pop-up things. They actually have like a pop-up place where I don't think you pay to get in, but you get passes to get in, and they have like 6 different bars in there. It's almost like you forget you're at
It's
a golf
weird.
course.
It's weird that it turned out the way it did this year. when
Yeah,
you say that.
we did walk out to a body asleep outside, not a body, a person. I'm sorry,
person.
a person
Resting.
asleep on the side of the road. Yeah, and you wonder, do you help or
You just gotta let them
just
sleep
like,
it off. A little
Yeah,
bit.
I guess.
Hope their friends find them.
It just didn't seem right. Terrell in Philly, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic. What's up, Terrell?
How's everybody doing? Welcome back, Bob, man.
Oh, thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
Yo, you was in good hands, too. I just want to say Ray and Amy and Bill, like, they did a phenomenal job. I just found out that Ray and Amy are funny on the low, too. Like, they're hilarious.
Terrell, they were okay. Their
you,
heads are
Terrell.
big enough already.
Thank you, Terrell.
They were okay.
We are funny.
So I got 2 things real quick. The venue, I would love to play on an Olympic venue. That would be so much amazing. And, like, I feel like in 92, they don't know what they were witnessing in Barcelona. The way the Dream Team just came out and showed out.
That's a good one.
That is why. That's a great documentary.
Yeah, it is a great documentary.
It is the stuff that they put up with, Terrell, in a good way, off the court, besides on the court. It was just phenomenal.
Yeah, so another thing. I asked yesterday, they asked for a famous Philadelphia sports legend that I would bring back. I told them, Andy Reid, you wasn't here, but I wanted your take on the question I asked.
Andy Reid, I heard you that you would trade Howie Roseman for Andy Reid.
Yeah, for 2 years of Andy Reid, you wouldn't do that? If you wanted to retire in Philly? And bring him, Spags over here?
Oh, so you're
now
bringing the whole coaching staff now.
Is anyone else coming?
I love me some Spags.
Yeah. Is Travis Kelce coming? I didn't know who else is coming.
Nah, I don't know. I don't know. Travis might be going too.
Okay, so you're talking Howie Roseman. There's got to be something else given if you're getting Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo.
I don't know, like whatever they can work out. But that's not the question. Is how valuable is Howie Roseman to us if Andy Reid wants to come over here?
That's pretty good. And I heard Amy's answer. Terrell, thanks so much. I heard Amy's answer yesterday of you could have Andy Reid kind of do both.
Yeah.
Right? So he could coach and be GM also. It's an interesting question. Yeah, I guess I would rather have the everyday hands-on guy, which is Andy Reid.
And saying it, Andy Reid, based on what we've known him to be and then what he's become now.
Andy Reid.
Both.
Right. Andy Reid is, without a doubt, one of the top 5 coaches of NFL history. Howie Roseman, at times, can be one of the top GMs in the NFL now.
If they trade for Howie Roseman, what do they do with Brett Veach? Because if all of a sudden he becomes available,
then you bring him on too.
I'm
God,
cool.
You're getting a lot for Howie Roseman.
If we're trading administrations here, I'm cool.
Who brought up the line? So how does this play out? The GM gets called into the GM's office to be told by the GM that he's getting traded.
Hey.
Yeah, that was
note to self.
That was kind of funny.
Kind of.
All right,
yeah,
I'll give you that.
I
think Terrell overstated it that you guys are funny on the down low.
Yeah, it's a situational funny. I'm a system funny guy. I'm not funny on my own. I'm funny in a system.
Amy has to be part of that system in order to be funny.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think
funny.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
How successful can a quarterback be without having weapons? How successful can a wide receiver be without a good quarterback? It takes a good combination here. We've got a good combination here.
Do you think right now, Ray sent you and
Ray's the quarterback in that one.
This is the question I have for you. So 2 weeks ago or last week, whatever it was, Ray went down the shore with his mustache buddies, and he sent a picture to Amy and me to say, here we are, here's the mustache group. I'm looking at that group. Now, a couple of them couldn't grow mustaches, but I'm looking at it, and I'm like, where does Ray fit into this group? It's like you can look at a high school basketball picture, and you can almost pick out, that's the best player on the team, like a basketball team or something like that. I was trying to figure out where Ray fit into the group. Now, I think you're more of the socially intellectual one is how I labeled you. Amy, how would you label Ray in that group?
Socially aware? Is that what you mean?
Not too much credit.
So, I think Ray would be the guy.
Tell everybody what we're doing. This is how it's going to go type of vibe.
Let me put it this way. I had a son that was at LaSalle one year. Kyle spent 1 year at LaSalle. They were on campus doing stuff. Then the group was like, come on, let's go off campus. There's a party like 3 blocks down. And Kyle was the guy that went, whoa. One of his friends actually told me that he did this. He was like, no, this doesn't sound right. Sure enough, a couple of kids did go, and it turned into a bad situation. I think Ray would be that guy.
Yeah, voice of reason, fella.
Okay, how do you label him?
Yeah, I can see that. I would think that he's an organizer of the group. Like, hey, we're going to go do this. All right, let's make sure that this is how it's going to go down.
I don't think you're the guy that makes everybody laugh on a consistent basis.
I wouldn't say not.
That's probably fair. I would say
timely zingers.
Again, yeah, I think it's more of a timely thing. Okay. I don't think I'm just standing up doing 5 minutes for the entire room, but I think the room can be caught off guard by a quick line that you drop,
which I appreciate.
Yeah,
Bob, are you the comedian of your group?
Certain ones, certain groups, maybe kinda. Yeah. My main core guys, we just laugh
just everybody.
Like yesterday, we got together with my friend Glenn and Rock. And we were over at Glenn's house, and we just laugh. Like,
that's good.
Glenn's daughter walks in, and, she calls us uncles and stuff. And she's like, I can just sit here and watch you guys all day long because we just belly laugh every
Because
time
then it's
we're
just
together.
one after another. You guys are all playing off each other.
It's just like little, like we'll pick up on a theme and it just carries out for the hour and a half or 2 hours.
Well, Ray and I
that we're
had a
with.
theme on Friday. You were the theme.
Yeah. I
was
mean, I
the
think I could do
butt.
5
Other
minutes on
people
Bob.
called me the butt. You guys called me the theme.
a good
My
theme.
wife said I
Kind
was
of
the
woven
butt
in.
of the joke.
Well,
It
no,
was
that was the
woven in.
last week report.
Yes,
and we have
no,
to
that's
remind
true.
people that segment's not designed to target anyone. It's just designed to have accountability throughout the week. So
some
that's-
people are just more accountable than others.
No, we
Or
just
less.
hold
Exactly.
people accountable. That's that's the nature of the segment.
I told you two before. I feel like doing it. I told you two before that this little alliance or allegiance that you guys are putting together here against me, that's
No.
fine.
No, I'm not
That's fine.
against.
I almost watched Survivor one time, so I'm all about like people teaming up against somebody else.
I don't think there's any
That's okay.
alliance here.
No alliance.
There's no alliance.
No one's against you.
Other
No one's
people have
against-
told me.
You seem paranoid. Is
No,
really
other
what it
people.
is.
I don't care. Other people tell me watch out for them. I'm all right.
Whoa.
I can take care
Okay,
of myself.
I'd love to know who said that.
Dave, you're on. Dave, you're on the Fanatic. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, Bob, how are you? Amy, love to hear you guys back on the radio. How
Hey,
you doing,
Dave.
my brother?
We're doing great. How about you?
I'm frustrated last night with that game with the Phillies, man. You got Zach Wheeler pitching 6 great innings, and you can't score a run. I understand it's a long season, and we got a long way to go, but hopefully they'll come back home on this homestand and they'll start winning games again.
Yeah, no, Dave, it's funny. I talked to Amy earlier. Maybe you heard about it. Like, certain games, certain series, I look to extract something from them, good or bad, to say, oh, something you can build on, that can't happen anymore, whatever. What I drew out of these last 5 games were, of the 4 losses, 2 were anomalies. You had a pitching staff that didn't give up an earned run last night, and you lost. And then another game where it was kind of a hitter's game. Your best hitter, in quotes, in Bryce Harper, was thrown out for nothing in the first inning.
Without a doubt, and that hurt. And he came back Saturday, and he was pissed off that he got thrown out of that game Friday night, and he won that game Saturday. So I'm just trying to stay positive. I know it's a long season, and they're going to get it together. Come back home, win these games against St. Louis and Milwaukee, and do what you got to do, man.
I agree with you, Dave. Thanks so much. We always love hearing from you. Yeah, it's just a time.
Yeah, you can
it's not
get
a panic time.
frustrated by watching an offense that's been scoring 5 or more runs at a good clip this year have 0 when your ace is on the mound.
Yeah.
There's going to be a level of frustration. I think that they will. I think everything will even out in the end. They're going to go back to where they were. But yeah, it's a lull, and it's just not. It's not fun when it's a lull.
No, lulls aren't fun. There was something that happened this weekend, Aim, that I want to, and we talked to Tom just a little bit about it, but we didn't dive into it. That Rangers-Suarez game on Saturday, was it? My days of the week get mixed up over the weekend.
Yeah, especially when there's a holiday.
Because I was off for so long.
You said it.
How the hell did he turn that around the way he did?
Well, I will tell you. I'll wait for it, but I'll tell you what I think precipitated it.
So, all right, we'll talk about that because Ranger Suarez had one of the most peculiar outings that I've seen out of a starting pitcher in a while, and it's happened a few times this year with Phillies
Friday.
pitchers.
He pitched Friday.
Friday,
'cause
okay.
He took the loss.
And it's happened a few times this year where they start shaky and then find themselves. Who do you give credit for? But Amy has a reasoning behind it. Also, we have Keith Pompei coming up at 1 o'clock because he had a little story out there about one Jimmy Butler. We'll get to all that and a whole lot more. This is Middays, Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. 6:30 on this Wednesday. Hope you're having a great one. Happy Hump Day for a lot of you who had to. Well, no, I guess not everybody had off on Monday, so there really isn't a.
I worked on Monday. Ray, did you work on Monday?
Oh, I did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do work a lot. I like working. We've talked about this.
You do like working.
I do like it.
Yeah, to the point where my wife did ask me sometime, does Amy work just about every day?
A lot.
And I said, yeah, pretty much.
I like it.
Well, I did get nervous last night. I turned on Phillies post game, so I was going back and forth. I had the basketball game going. First, I started the night with the WNBA game. Then I went to hockey game. Then I went to basketball game, NBA playoffs. And then I switched over just to look to see if you were doing pregame last night, because I was like, oh my God, if Amy has to do pre and post and
It's
she's up
late
till
game.
2 in the morning,
Yeah. I watched it, but I wasn't.
I was going to feel sorry for you almost.
No.
A little bit.
Almost. Thank you for
Yeah.
almost feeling sorry for me.
Yeah. Well, you're kind of on, you're like.
I'm on
going-
thin ice with my alliance that I have with
Yeah,
Ray.
not thin ice, but like my eyes are open to you both. Like it's fine. I've been burnt before. I'm sure I'll be burned
Are you
again.
back in high school or
Yeah, we
something?
love you.
What is this,
just-
the lunch table
we
that doesn't
love
like
you.
you or something?
We
Look,
love
if I have something to say about somebody, I say it to their face. I don't do it behind their back.
I publicly broadcast it to the Delaware Valley.
On this very program.
That's a program.
Program.
Give me a day of the week, Ray.
Wednesday.
Ooh,
See, he
that-
does it
that's-
right. No, he does it right.
Yeah. What people say,
Uncle
Wednesday?
Uncle Frank's a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Like my mother-in-law is very much a, I got to go to the
Coach
doctor on
Lynham's a
Monday.
Wednesday.
Yeah. I think because my dad was very much a, not only was he in the newspaper business and all that stuff, but he was also an actor in college, and he was very much a pronunciator.
Yeah.
And
Elocution.
always correcting, like, I don't know if you're, earlier I said that someone gave to Amy and me. Like, my dad's always in my mind. It's not Amy and I,
Right.
whatever. But my dad is always in my head that way, and we were never a Wednesday family.
No.
We were always Wednesday. Water was always frowned upon. However, my dad said Eagles with the best of them. It was Iggles with my dad. It was Eagles.
Do you say NCAA?
Tournament?
Yeah.
Why? How do you say it?
Some people say tournament.
Tournament?
Tournament.
Tournament. No, I say tournament.
Yeah,
I think
NCAA
tournaments,
Yeah,
Most
and,
people say
and the
tournament.
things you color with, I say that correctly.
Oh, well, you can't. There's a Y in there. You got to acknowledge it.
Yeah, I
You
don't
go
think
to
Ray
the
does.
Acme or the Acme?
Oh,
I've never heard anybody say Acme.
you haven't?
I've always heard people
I have.
say that people say Acme.
I used
but
to
I've
live
never,
in South Philly. My neighbors.
Really?
absolutely-
So he
Yeah.
goes to Giant, is what we just found out.
yeah.
Whole
no, I
Foods.
never. Yeah. Use
Yeah, you hear that every now and
the
again.
person I'm married to uses
Yeah,
that.
you hear
use.
that.
Yeah. I think my dad might have taken a belt off if we said use in the house. Yeah, he was very particular about.
Clearly.
Yeah. I had a rough childhood, Aim. So Keith Pompei is going to be joining us at 1 o'clock. And we're going to talk about this Philadelphia 76ers team, particularly. Well, can we call them a team? They have one guy under contract, really. So I don't know if we can really call them a team.
It's an
How about if we
organization.
talk about the organization? Exactly. But the Jimmy Butler talk that Keith Pompei wrote about, Sixers are ready. If he agrees that he wants to get traded, they're ready to offer anything and everything. And we'll talk about this more with Keith. But there's talks of draft picks. There's talk of a max contract, all of that. Amy, for those of you who can't see, and she wasn't on YouTube at the time, just widened her eyes, looked down at the desk, and shook her head no, like she had just seen an F- come home from young Shawnee on a
that
test
would be
paper.
a lot more of a bigger reaction. than
Yeah.
that. I'd have been like, "Ooh."
Just initial. I said it last week. I'm out on
because
Jimmy
like
Butler.
I'm not really in on him anyway. But when you start talking about the things they're talking about in multiple draft picks,
Right.
plural picks, max contract deals, don't like all of that. He
Yeah.
wants to come here in a trade and a team-friendly deal that helps you build an entire winning roster surrounding. I get the idea. Jimmy Butler plays well with Joel Embiid. We've physically seen it. It has happened. It has worked well. Great. Check. Done. Jimmy Butler loves playing with Joel Embiid. He sings his praises all of the time. Great. Love that too. They make it as team-friendly as possible. Don't sell the farm for Jimmy Butler. That's just me.
No, and I'm right there with you, Amy, because you need a lot more.
I don't
You
dislike
have-
Jimmy Butler here. I just dislike bringing him here if it costs a lot.
Yeah, you're going to have Tyrese Maxey. I have a feeling they're going to sign him.
Yeah.
Joel Embiid is here. you bring in a Jimmy Butler and you give up. Now, look, draft picks, what does it mean? I don't know. Like, you're not really building for a future. Joel Embiid's future here is like 3 more years probably of greatness, maybe 4. You're looking to win titles as soon as you can. So holding on to future draft picks, I don't know. I don't want to give up everything for Jimmy Butler and then, like, just scraping the barrel. Andrew had a good line today. He goes, oh, cool, and then what? You go after Korkmaz? Like, you try to bring guys. Now, obviously, they're going to go bigger than that. How much money is going to be left will have to be something that we'll talk to Keith Pompei about should they decide to go this route. But if you were just to tell me you can get Paul George, hold on to draft picks, still have money to spend, I'm sorry, that's the way to go. And there's something that has opened my eyes during this NBA playoffs, Aim. And you and I have talked about this a lot. What kind of a player is needed with Joel Embiid? And look, do yourself a favor. Go back and look from the 17-18 season on and look at all the players and different types of players they've tried to surround him with. It hasn't worked. We saw a really good team when Jimmy Butler was here. That was a really
That's the most successful
good
version
team.
of it.
Yeah. And that couldn't get done either. You lost to a team with one star player in Kawhi Leonard.
The team that did win it all.
Yes, that's what I know. How could the Sixers not figure out how to win it? Whatever. But I'll tell you, watching this Dallas Mavericks team, 2 best players, both point guards. Who did the Sixers get eliminated by? The New York Knicks. Why? Because of an outstanding point guard. I keep looking at these teams, and I see these unbelievable point guards. And look, I know there's a need for 3-and-D and all this creators. I'll tell you, I think I'm putting a creating point guard. Like, look, you're going to make a big move. You're probably going to go and get a Paul George or Jimmy Butler or maybe a LeBron. A creating point guard, whether you can get that at 16, which would fit with the talent that you have, whether you can make a trade or something, I'm really starting to look at it like, wow, these teams that are really good have these creating point guards that makes everybody else better.
And bigger guards a lot of the times.
Yeah. I mean, Brunson isn't really, but plays in the lane more than he plays like an outside.
Physical.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Have these playoffs made you think of anything much in those terms? Now, Boston brought in Drew Holiday. And, if you're looking at glue, and if they do get over the hump, a lot of the fingers are going to point right at him saying,
as they should.
He's the man. He's the glue guy.
Another
point guard.
Yeah, he did it in Milwaukee. He was the glue guy that got them over the hump. And, he's such a good defender. And I know that, but he's also a guy that can get you points too. He's a big guy. He plays physical. He plays great defense. He's just a great player. He would be a great fit on a lot of teams.
Yeah.
You'd be hard pressed to find a team where he wouldn't make more successful.
Sure.
Just by him being on there. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Minnesota, just because they kind of had that already in Anthony Edwards. But no, I mean, you look at the teams that are successful, they have a physical, very physical, kind of a bigger, rangy, creative, creating his own shot point guard.
Yeah.
Including Anthony Edwards.
It just seems like such a different style to me. That when you have to have an offense go through a big man, who we all know what Joel Embiid can do. He can hit open jump shots. He can take the ball to the basket, although that's probably not his strongest
No, he
point.
can.
Beautiful footwork. We know all those things. But is he the kind of creator that we're seeing in the Anthony Edwards, in the Jason Tatums, in Luka Doncic, in Kyrie Irving? Like, I don't know. I just think I'm looking at a different game than what you see when we see with the Sixers.
You have to look more at what Denver runs, really, if you really want to look at it more of an apples to apples.
Probably.
And even then, it's not really, because they don't run all of their offense through Jokic, but obviously they run a good chunk of it, and rightfully so.
Who has point guard qualities?
Because he passes the ball at the way that he does. The man's a walking triple-double, basically, when he goes out there.
So, I mean, I don't know if this leads to a question because it's just an observation on my part. And this is like a big question. I don't want to make the question like, can they win with the style they have to play with Joel Embiid? But it does.
I think the answer is yes. But I think you're looking at it right now. But then you go back to the Nuggets, and that team did win, and that is a similar style. Not the exact same, but a similar style.
Yeah.
This year, I think it's glaring because it is just such a point guard and two guard driven. Like, look at these teams and these double guards that they have.
Double guards. I
Double
like
guards.
that.
They got double guards. Great double guards. Big, physical, creating double guards.
Yeah, creating. That's another word that has really sunk into my head watching these NBA playoffs. There's a lot of guys that can create out there.
Create their own shot, create shots for everybody else.
You take away Tyrese Maxey, forget Joel Embiid. Who else could create on this past year team to get their own shot? Now, Oubre maybe a little bit, but that was if he was creating, he was going to the basket.
Exactly. He's going straight downhill, right to the rack, and he'll do something creative, and it'll be fun. But as far as creating his own shot, or no. Not at the level of these guys that you're seeing right now.
All right, let's put it this way then. Let's put it out there this way. Of the players that were in the playoffs this year, and look, we know who the greatest ones are. Let's go the final. What are they? Let's go the final 4 teams that were left, or final, whatever you want to do. The teams that were around. Who would be a player on those teams that you would love to pair with Joel Embiid? Now, look, I kind of you want to take like a Jokic out of it, and you can say the best player out there. That's fine. Give your reasoning, but I'll tell you what. I'm watching the way Kyrie Irving has accepted his role with a Luka Doncic. He's like I had the conversation yesterday with my buddy Rock. Rock was like, Doncic isn't the best player on that team. Kyrie Irving is right now. It's a great conversation to have, and that's how good Kyrie Irving is. Has Kyrie Irving made Luka Doncic even better?
Kyrie Irving might be the best ball handler I've ever seen.
If you put Kyrie Irving on this, let's say you can add anybody you want to Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, who was out there in the playoffs this year. Who would it be? We'll have some fun with it. Give us reasoning why. I want you to think about it a little bit because, we talk about fit and all of those things. But take a look at it a little bit. My answer, I don't want to give away answers, but there could be some really fun answers that we could throw out there. 610-632-0975. You're looking at all the playoff games that have been played. You can't have all you have for the Sixers right now is Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey. Give me a playoff player that you would love to add to that twosome to go along that you think would really stick out with them. 610-632-0975. We'll have some fun with this before we talk to Keith Pompei at 1 o'clock about the Jimmy Butler talk of which he wrote. And we'll also get into some more Phillies. And I do have that Eagles question that I'm going to pose to Amy and Ray. I want to look at the defensive side of the ball, and I want to put some numbers to individuals and see where they sit as far as this Philadelphia Eagles defense goes. This is Middays 97.5, The Fanatic. As we approach the 1 o'clock hour here on Middays, lucky to be joined by the wonderful, the sunshine, Amy Fadul
Wow,
today.
it's so beautiful outside. I feel honored
It's
to be
beautiful
in the same
inside, too,
presence.
Amy.
Same presence.
A reminder, the 12 o'clock hour, it's brought to you by Service First Heating and Air Conditioning. Get 0% financing for 72 months and a $500 rebate when you purchase a complete heating and cooling system from Service First. Learn more at servicefirsthvac.com. Okay, we're talking a little bit about watching these NBA playoffs. And I do find it amazing about the teams that have had success. Not amazing, but the teams that have had success, you're talking about the Dallas Mavericks, lost last night to Minnesota, but they're still up 3-1. Probably will advance to the finals to take on the Boston Celtics. And it's just funny when you look at box scores and you're like, oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot their two best players are both point guards. Mm-hmm. And then I look at the team that ousted the Sixers. Oh, wow, the best player in that series was a point guard. And then you look at the Celtics, who have had success over the years, but like the Sixers to a higher level, they haven't reached the goals that they want. They just can't win that championship. Well, they might this year, and you might point to, a point guard that they got during the offseason in Drew Holiday. I just keep looking at Mike Conley. Minnesota talks about, he's the glue of this team.
Yeah.
Man, he's really good. And I don't think Tyrese Maxey should be labeled the point guard for the Sixers. I just don't. I'll let him run free. When he gets the ball and goes, fine. I don't want to put the point guard.
Ball.
Yeah, I do. I'm wondering, do you see point guard maybe in a different way that you've watched these playoffs now as far as it goes to the Sixers?
Yeah, these current playoffs. And I think that it's almost like, and I don't know, it'll be interesting to see if this is how it will be going forward, because there have been, kind of some tendencies or trends even with some of the teams that have been in the Final Four over the last couple of years, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, even going back maybe 7 or 8 years ago, that have tended to be a trend throughout the league. A really good shooting guard, right? You need that guy.
Yeah.
Some knockdown 3-point specialist, inside-out game with the high-low and a big man and a 3-point guy. I think you saw that work to real perfection with Denver as far as the Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic dynamic. So I think you can look at different things, but this year the point guard has really become such a centered focus. And then you can go back into other years where, look at that Celtics team that won with the big three. They had a very good point guard that really facilitated quite a bit and could score when he needed to. Rondo, not a 3-point shooter by any stretch. Of course, they had one of those games where I think he hit
Game 7 against the Sixers.
And everybody's like, what's happening?
One, yeah.
Did not shoot the three. But
good memory by you.
A heck of a facilitator, right? Really, really good. So you can see that over the years. You can't have a gap there. And I think now it's so much more prominent in the fact that you have so many guys that are playmakers. You have to have an unbelievable point guard to be able to play at the pace that these guys are all playing at and the spacing that they're trying to improve upon. Because if you watch the game, I'd love to be able to watch the game, especially like these Final Four teams, the two in the Eastern Conference, two in the Western Conference, from like above. So you can see just how well. There was a great play, and it didn't work, but it was a great play. It was like 3 gunners against the Celtics, I think it was the second to last game in Indiana, and the Pacers had, 2 seconds left or whatever. I was like, that was a fascinating play to really learn how they space everything out. But it's made me look at how this game is played right now. You have to have an elite point guard, not a good one, an elite point guard with the way that the game is played right now at this level because of how everybody is spacing out and creating, and there's just so much more movement on the offense. It's not stagnant. James Harden, those days are done. That's over with.
Yeah.
We're not doing that anymore.
No. Which is okay in almost everybody's.
I'm good with that.
Everybody's. Yeah, that just got to be
for the YMCA.
Yeah, I mean, it got to be,
Nothing wrong with the YMCA.
No, 2 ball dominant. It wasn't what you wanted.
Not fluid.
It wasn't fluid at all. No. But so I started to really think about this last night. And, we had the talk of Jimmy Butler, and Keith Pompei will be joining us in just a few minutes at 1 o'clock to talk about the story that he wrote. But you have to still go out and get a star, in my eyes. Like, whether it's LeBron, Jimmy Butler, Paul George, whatever it is, you still have to go out and get that. But after I'm watching that game last night, and it was actually all through the weekend, I'm thinking, man, do you really need a creative point guard to go with that? And that was my first question. My second question to you, Amy, Can you get that with the 16th pick?
Yeah, it's funny. You mentioned that right before we went to break, and I had to rack my brain and think, who would be available at 16, or do you need to move up? Is there a guy this isn't a strong draft? It's a good draft. It's not a strong draft. And I know Daryl Morey said something about it at the end of his season wrap up.
Right.
A lot of people have kind of been down on the draft. He's not as down on the draft. I have to do a lot more research, and we'll get into that in the coming weeks when the draft gets closer, because it's still a little less than a month away, or right at a month, the 26th of June. So I've not looked at any of these foreign players at all. I have to go to the YouTube clips and just see what I can find. And of course, if they're posting it on YouTube, it's going to look good. There's usually
That's
not
why
bad
they're called
stuff.
highlights.
Exactly.
Yes.
But I don't know. Is there even a package that you can move up? Is there a guy that you need to target, or can you get one at 16? There's some decent guards out there. There's some guys that I thought, he could be pretty good. Is that where you're at? Is that what you want? Or do you need to package the 16 in order to get Jimmy Butler?
Yeah,
if that's where you're going.
Exactly, and that's what makes me nervous.
If I'm the Heat, this is an organization. It always concerns me when you do deals with teams that have very well-run organizations, because it's like,
yeah,
what?
Yeah.
Don't do
Sorry,
deals
Boston,
with the Celtics.
I'm not returning your call. Miami, I'm not returning your call.
Spurs,
Danny Ainge, where are you now?
what do you
Utah?
want?
No, you're off the board too.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I don't know.
just not
Makes
doing
me a little trepidatious sometimes, because it's like, what do they know? What do they know? Who do you like? I just kind of who's drop in there. But I think you need to package the 16 if there was a trade to be done.
If you had to trade, if there isn't, if you're signing a free agent,
right?
You have to like hit. Yeah, like I don't know if it's a McCain from Duke or a Collier from USC, like one of those guards that they come out and you're like, whoa. Now there was a kid. What's a kid from Kolick? From Marquette, isn't that the kid's name? Kolick, I think. Now I liked watching. I'm trying to look him up now. I liked watching him during the regular season. I think he led the NCAA in assists this year. He's like kind of crafty. Like, man, that would be if you got somebody at 16, along with the 3 stars that you're going to have, and you got like a point guard at 16 that could not only create for others,
I'm going to need super
but
athletic.
for himself. Yeah, exactly. Now I don't know if Kolick is that, but. Just somebody. I just wonder if there was anybody that really excited you that can. Oh, Ryan Dunn. Oh no, I thought it was Ray Dunn. Ryan Dunn. He's a guard from.
You got excited there for a second.
Something. Yeah, I did, but I don't know.
There are players that I like. I want to look at them. You mentioned Isaiah Collier. I think that's an interesting selection.
Yeah.
Very athletic, rangy, good guard skills. It's hard to look at the 1 year sometimes for these guys and really try to kind of extrapolate from that, like what are they going to do? But you can try. That's the hope. It's really tough. But you see flashes. You see flashes of the speed. You want to look at the quality of opponents that they win against. You want to see what they did against guys that were also going to be having players in the NBA, right? Don't look at them against, no offense, Pepperdine or something like that. You want to see what do they do against other teams that have multiple NBA type players. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, look, the NBA hit on a low ranked point guard in Jalen Brunson, taken in the second round, and he's become what he's become. God, that needs to happen for the Sixers. Like, we can talk about stars and this. They got a hit on like They
hit on
player.
Maxey.
Yeah, they hit on Maxey, but they have to get another one of that. Like,
you do.
Yeah.
And in their history, that's not been the case. That's why it was so unusual. Maxey was the perfect fit at the time. They hit on Mikal Bridges. They just happened to trade him. Unfortunately.
Why did you have to bring that up?
I'm sorry.
Way to go, Aim.
They have drafted.
When we get back,
couple.
When we get back, we're going to talk to Keith Pompei about this Jimmy Butler stuff. Those of you on the line, hold on. We'll get to you as soon as we're done with Keith. This is Midday's Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. 1 o'clock. Hope you're having a great Wednesday after the past holiday weekend. You know what it means. Every Friday when you get out of work, traffic's going to be a bitch because it's.
Tell us how you really feel about it.
Right? Living over in Jersey, you know how much I love the summertime, but
Yes.
man, traffic is tough on Fridays in the summertime. But that's what you have to live with. All right, we're not going to keep our man waiting. Keith Pompei is on the Comcast Business Hotline to talk all things 76ers. Keith, what's going on, buddy?
What's going on? Hey, man, if you talk about the traffic, dude, it was crazy because, I live in Washington Township, and it was like I'm having to go all these back roads and everything, and all the people know the back roads now. So
Yeah, they do.
It took me forever to get home on Friday.
So
I was like, oh.
I know your troubles because I used to live right near you, Keith.
Exactly.
Until I moved closer to the city. So I don't hit it as bad as you, but man, do I feel for you. That's no fun. Yeah,
it is. It's crazy.
All right. So you've been the topic of conversation for the story that you wrote concerning Jimmy Butler, and that the Sixers may be just waiting on it, waiting for him to give the go-ahead that, yeah, I'm done with Miami. I'm ready to get out of here, all of that. We know what you wrote and saw all that stuff. For the people that didn't maybe see it, Keith, what do you think it would take for the Sixers to get Jimmy Butler, and describe exactly where you see them sitting right now?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think, let's just say, Miami holds, or Pat Riley holds the card, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
It depends on what he wants to do. But if Jimmy Butler forces a trade, the Sixers are going to they're going to give him a max extension if they get a trade to Philadelphia. Now, right now, the primary target that the Sixers have is Paul George because, if Paul is easier to get Paul, like if Paul just says, hey, y'all, I don't want to go to I don't want to remain a Clipper. I'm coming to Philly. Well, then that's easy. The thing about it is, yes, Jimmy can force a trade, but it doesn't actually mean that, Pat Riley's going to trade him to Philly. He'll probably see if I could go somewhere and get a little bit more assets or something like that in return. But if they can't get Paul George and if Jimmy Butler, is available and they can get him, they're willing to give him a max extension.
Tell me what that would entail as far as like how much money for a max extension, because we know the Sixers have buku bucks, lots of dollars. They're going to max out Tyrese Maxey. What kind of deal would that look like, and then how much would they have left over for signing other pieces?
Well, the thing about Jimmy, I mean, here's the thing. Like, Jimmy he's in line to make $48 million this upcoming season. So basically, if they give him a max extension, what he's going to do is he has another year with a player option for, I believe, is $52 million. What he's going to do is he's basically going to opt out of that.
Right.
So what you're going to do is you're going to have 48 this year, and then over the next 2 years is 113. So that's really not going to. Well, the 48 is right.
That would hit.
That's not going to. And the other 2 years is what it's going to be like. 60 or $56 million or something like that. The next two. Now the thing is, what the Sixers are going to do is that's probably going to be essentially around the same that you would give a Paul George, like for the first year. Like Paul George is going to probably make 50-something, so you're having a couple $1 million less. The thing that what people have to be conscious of is with Maxey, since you have this cap space, and you have this bird rights, he's going to be the last major contract that they're going to get, like they're going to sign. Like they're going to go get, say if they trade for Jimmy, they're going to trade him, put that cap in there. If it was Paul George, the same thing. And then they would fill out their roster. And then you would come back, and then you would, play Tyrese. Now, the important thing about this year is, after you pay Tyrese, you're not going to have as much cap space available, right? So if you're going to go after a big-name player, this is the year to go do it because you're going to have the cap space available. Once you sign Tyrese, next season, you know what, you're probably not going to have as much. Now, you may be able to get a guy on like a little bit of deal, but you're not going to have this $65 million available to get someone.
So, Keith, we've laid out so many different scenarios of what they could do, what they should do. I want to ask you this. You've been around Daryl Morey now for a few years. You kind of know what he's about. You know the history of a Daryl Morey. Does that lend you to believe that you would lean one way or another as to what he's going to do, or do you think it's more of a wide-open thing?
You know, I think this year a lot of it is really dependent on what other people want to do, right? Yeah. Like, yeah, of course, Daryl wants to go out there. I think if Daryl had his choice, his plan is to go out there and get a third star, a maximum salary type player, right, and bring them in here. But I think when you talk about everything, like Paul George, some people say the perfect fit. LeBron James, the perfect fit. Jimmy Butler, if you know what I mean, a good fit. But all these guys are like, Paul George, is he going to opt out? And if he's going to opt out, does he want to become a 76er? LeBron James, what is he going to do, right? And then Jimmy Butler is basically one of those things on, you know, what is Miami going to do? But to me, you know, when you talk to Daryl Morey, you talk to other people, they all believe that the teams that have 3 stars tend to go further in the playoffs. They're the teams that win championships. When you have 2 stars, there's always, you need something else. Now, again, of course, you surround those guys with great role players and things like that. But when you look at, you know, a team like the Boston Celtics, yeah, they got 2 All-NBA guys. You can say that Porzingis is a 3rd star. You can say Drew Holiday is. But they're those type of guys. And these are the teams that Daryl Morey and other executives around the league feel like you have to have that 3rd guy in order to win.
Yeah, I mean, and I thought it was interesting. Daryl Morey said a lot. And he actually says things, which I think is important because you don't have to read into his comments. Sometimes he just comes out and says it. And I know one of the things that he specifically said was a wing player that can perform in the playoffs. And a lot of people went, all right, well, we know who wasn't a wing player that performed in the playoffs. Give us who was. And he's not going to be able to say the name. And we all know the nickname Playoff P for Paul George out there. But when they're constructing this roster and they have all these pieces, you're just talking about how they have to fit with these guys opting in and whatever else. Are they operating on a 1 or 2 year window in your mind?
You know, I think for a max guy, you're going to give him whatever he wants, right? I think that's what it is. And most guys, if a guy wants 4 years, you're going to give him the 4 years.
Right.
Right? That's just how it is. But I do think, yes, I think that they're trying to win a championship now. Like, because when you look at Joel's injury history, you know, you see that championship window. It's one of those things where, you know, yeah, you're getting a guy, but you're not thinking like, okay, in 2 years, fellas, we're going to be great. Nah, you want that person to produce now. You know what I mean? And then, you know, another thing that, Amy, if you remember, it was kind of like he did bring up Jimmy Butler. Now, he wasn't talking about him like I'm going to get him, but when people talked about age and they talked about stuff, he did say, look what Jimmy did with Miami. He took them to the championship twice. He did this. He did that. You know, and he's, you know, a guy in his 30s, mid-30s. So, you know, I think that, yeah, I mean, the 76ers, they want to win now. Like, when you look at the Sixers look at the Boston Celtics, and they know that the Boston Celtics are an A standard. They felt like this season with Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, when they were healthy, those 2 guys, they had the second best team in the East. So they feel like if they go out there and they bring in another guy, they feel like they can contend for the Eastern Conference Championship and come out of the East, right? And I think the one thing that a lot of the fans are looking at and they're thinking about, when we look at a guy like Jimmy Butler, a Paul George, right, what we're thinking about is, hey, that's a lot of money to give this guy to be the star. But I think everybody's talking about the extension of Tyrese Maxey, where he's going to be the guy. So whereas, you know, yes, Paul George to be a ball handler. We know Jimmy Butler, the offense can go through them. But I think that the Sixers are also looking at whereas Tyrese Maxey is going to get better because he has, right? There's nothing telling us that he's not going to get better. And then you look at these other things that these guys bring to where it's going to help out with what Maxey does well, what Embiid does well, and things like that. So I think that they're not looking at it whereas Maxey is you're going to take away from his strengths. I think what you're looking at it is something that's going to, help out, something that's going to complement the things that Maxey and Embiid does.
We're talking to Keith Pompei on the Comcast Business Hotline. Keith from the Inquirer.com. Keith, you and I were together for many years while they were trying to bring people in to play with Joel Embiid in order to find that elusive championship. Have they gone about it wrong? Is there just not a player you can bring in to play with Embiid that they haven't, gotten? Or is that player just not out there because maybe you can't win through Joel Embiid?
That's a great question, and it's like stuff that people are going to debate forever, right? The crazy part is they did have that one player, and I think like they kind of undervalued that player and his importance, and unfortunately it was Jimmy Butler. You know what I mean? I felt like he was a guy, the way that he played, Joel Embiid, now I'm not going to say he fell in line. I'm just going to say that they found a way to coexist greatly. He had a lot of respect for him. Unfortunately, that was 5 years ago. So the question is can you bring him back? I feel like if you got a guy, and I know the guy is older and he's in the tooth, he's still one of the greatest players that ever played a game. But you look at a guy who, like LeBron James, for instance, he's a guy that Joel respects. He has the utmost respect for. He comes in, he can clean the culture, he can do a lot of things, and all they want to do is win. So I feel like if you have that type of guy, it's going to work out. But I do think that Jimmy was the one guy. I mean, think about it, Bob. You've been covering this team, around this team longer than I have. He was the perfect fit for them. But it just seems like they never had anybody like him since he left. The only question is he's going to be 35 when the season starts. The last time we saw him, he was playing with a messed up MCL, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that was the last game he played. How much does he have in the tank? That's the question. Because that, let's face it, he took a Miami Heat team that didn't have the same type of horses that the Sixers have when you talk about Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. He took them to the NBA Finals twice, right? They have the fifth most wins since he's been a part of that system. He's a good player. It's just a matter of how much does he have left in the tank. And I'm not a guy who makes excuses for the Sixers and stuff like that. Some people call me a hater. But I'm just going to tell you, there's not a lot out there right now. And the question is, do you want to wait and do you want to hold off after you give Maxey this money? And then there's really not going to be, you're not going to have the money to go out there and get people. So when you look at the options out there, I hate to say it, of the three guys that they could possibly get, the best three of the free agents or trades are Paul George, LeBron James, and then Jimmy Butler. There are the three max. The other guys is like you're probably going to have to overpay them unless you can get them in a trade. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Are you going to overpay somebody? And then I just think that for what it is right now, and I know a lot of people are like, we got to go after these young guys and we have to do this and that. But when you look at the free agent period, you have Tyrese Maxey, who we all know is coming back, is listed as a top free agent. James Harden is one of the top free agents, and so is Tobias Harris. Three guys that they don't, you already got Maxey, but Tobias is gone, and you don't want James Harden back. So there's really not as many options as people think there are.
Keith, listen, can't thank you enough for joining us today. We're going to be in touch with you in the future as your, air quotes, off-season continues.
No such thing.
Yeah,
right.
I know, right?
Thanks, Keith. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Keith. Good stuff.
You got it, buddy. Thank you. Keith Pompei from the Inquirer, Inquirer.com. A lot of interesting things there. I mean, if you want to boil it down, so Keith gave it up. Look, the Sixers are going to go for him if he agrees for a trade. They have the assets. They're going to give him an extended contract, the max contract. It's there. Paul George, he said, is still probably their number one option. Then he threw in LeBron James. I mean, is there any doubt that it's one of those three that's coming here? I know it's an honest question. I'm not saying nothing's changed.
As far as the big free agents or any free agents?
If you had to put money down to say one of those three is going to be here,
one of those three over anybody else, you mean? Yes, I would think one of those three will be here. Correct.
Right. Okay.
Yes,
You the same way, right? One of those three is going to be here.
I mean, there's always a chance you're caught standing there without a chair to sit down on. I mean, I think that to me,
like 2018.
Yeah, I mean, the musical chairs game can happen, and we can all have these ideas of Jimmy Butler or Paul George or LeBron James. LeBron can decide, hey, I like it out here in L.A., or this weird Phoenix Suns thing about drafting his son that I still think is kind of weird. He would take that much less money, but hey, maybe he wants to go to Phoenix and hang out with Bradley Beal. I don't know. But there's a chance that where they end up going with this offseason, Paul George is like, I'm a Southern California guy. The Clippers realized, hey, maybe he's got a little bit of leverage with this Philly thing. Let's just give him the money he wants. Let's try and keep this together. They extended Tyronn Lue today, so it doesn't look like they're trying to change the trajectory of their organization right now. So, okay.
Yeah.
He stays there. LeBron stays there or decides on another location that's not Philadelphia. And Jimmy Butler and Pat Riley realize, wow, we're two weird dudes that have a very, very strong competitive spirit. Maybe we get together and work this out. Or Pat Riley says, you know what? We're trading you, but you want to go to Philadelphia? I don't care. I'm going to get something better from somewhere else. Like, there's a chance that this whole thing, this game of musical chairs, does end up with one of them. I mean, that's a terrifying idea of, the pivot to like a Brandon Ingram or a pivot to something like that. But right now, I'd love to think that this is going to end up with them with Paul George. I'd love to think that this is going to be, they're going to get a star. There's the thing in the back of my head of like,
oh, there it is.
Well, that hasn't happened to you before. You've gotten excited about, we did the Malvern prep tours and we ended up still talking about Tobias Harris as the third star of this team.
And the reason I brought up the question to Keith about, is it still trying to find the pieces with Joel Embiid, or is it just that there aren't pieces that you can put together with Joel Embiid? And it started dancing in my head because we're talking about Jimmy Butler. Listen to this team that they had. I mean, if this isn't the model that you're trying to go for, if you're Daryl Morey, I don't know what is. But the 2018-2019 season, you had Tobias Harris averaging 18 points a game. You had Ben Simmons averaging 17 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. You had Joel Embiid averaging 27.5 a game. Jimmy Butler, 18 a game, and all that he entails. J.J. Redick, averaging 18 a game and shooting 40% from three.
That's the key.
Yeah. I mean, Dario Saric was a side piece that I think they might have gotten rid of, whatever. I forget how it old. He was in the Butler trade. You're right. But, you had a T.J. McConnell who was getting limited time off the bench, but still a little bit of a – but just those guys there, that's like your model. And you lost to a team in Toronto that, yes, had Kawhi Leonard. Fred VanVleet was young. Siakam was young.
Nice player.
Up and growing guys. You just have to wonder, that
was the best chance. But that shows you can build a team around Joel Embiid. That does.
But it didn't get out of the second round.
No, they ran into
lost
a juggernaut.
to a one-star team.
I don't know if I'd call them a one-star team.
Well, Siakam was
superstar. One superstar.
Well, coach team too, huh?
Very well, Coach. You don't say, Ray.
I think you guys are making excuses. There's no way on paper that Sixers team shouldn't have lost to him.
No, they shouldn't have. Maybe they needed to have a better coach, maybe a better scheme, whatever. But I feel like the makeup of that team is what you're going for. A three-point shooter, a physical scoring wing, a creative. Remember when Ben Simmons played basketball type of guy? Perfect.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons playing basketball is exactly who this team needs. That's who works with Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
A guy that's, walks out and says, I'm going to get a triple-double right now.
It's scary when you say you're looking for a model and you had it. You had it. You had the model. You had an all-star point guard. You had Jimmy Butler. You had Tobias Harris averaging over 18 a game. Joel Embiid. J.J. Redick shooting 40% from three.
That's it. That's the team.
Which is, there's just so much there. So we're talking fit with the Sixers, and Nick wants to join in on a question we asked earlier. Nick, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. How you doing, buddy? Sorry to keep you holding so long.
Thanks, Nick.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm intrigued about the conversation. So you guys were asking a question earlier, which you were saying, like, with the teams that are still in the playoffs right now, the last four that are still standing, which players would I want to see fit in with Joel Embiid?
Yeah.
So one of them would be Kyrie Irving. And the reason is, Kyrie, everywhere he goes, he makes everybody better. Look what he did in Cleveland and when he teamed up with LeBron. LeBron is a superstar player, and he makes everybody better in his own right. When you get two players that gel perfectly, that changes everything. So I think like a player, like Kyrie Irving, who's very, clutch when it comes into big moments, that's what somebody like Joel Embiid needs. He needs that Batman and Robin type of, relationship, that he almost had when he had James Harden, but, James Harden kind of shook it up at the end.
Yeah.
So he needs somebody like that. And, what's his name is still, developing, Tyrese Maxey, which we all know, is a good player and still developing. But you just said it not too long ago. Three players, when you have three superstars, they go the furthest.
Yeah.
And that really makes a difference. So
Nick, it's funny, and I appreciate the call, buddy. When I brought up the question, it was kind of based around Kyrie Irving.
I know, I can
because
tell.
it's kind of been like,
I will say he hasn't been successful everywhere.
No, not everywhere, and there's obviously off the court stuff, and we had this big
work with
argument
the
before
Nets.
you got in this morning. But
it did work places.
It's just amazing how he's been really good with them, and you look at it. You look at the box
And he wasn't
score.
very good at first when he first got there. No,
because like
it
I
didn't
talk
work
to
at
people
first.
around the league, and I have been told on a few occasions that Luka is really hard to play with.
I can see that.
And you're thinking, and Kyrie Irving's going there, and boom, they've made it work.
Yeah, they have.
It's kind of this, you never know. And you look at a box score, I do it every day. I look at every box score that's there, and you look at it, and if you're like a little kid looking at it, you go, hey, how this team that's good, the Dallas Mavericks, they have two guys that have PG next to their name. How can you have two point guards out there? They're making it work. All right, we'll keep talking about this. Sit on this a little more. Guys on the line, hold on. We'll get to you as soon as we get back. Also, I still want to ask the defensive Eagles question of Amy and Ray to see what their thoughts may be. 610-632-0975 is where we are. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Hour here of your Wednesday midday show. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you're having a happy Wednesday, because it's fun to be happy. And fun is the best thing to have, which I tell you often, Amy. 1 o'clock hour, it's brought to you by Ferguson HVAC Line Conklin. Attention HVAC contractors for equipment, parts, and supplies for every heating and cooling job. Visit one of Ferguson's counter locations in Bensalem, King of Prussia, Pennsauken, or Westchester. So I just wrote something down that I wanted to bring up to you, and of course I can't find it. Oh, yeah, Monday. That's right, Monday. I wanted to remind everybody. Yeah, we're going to have fun out at Penn Oaks for the Brian Dawkins golf outing. We'll get a lot of former players, maybe some current players, to come on air with us. I apologize to you, Amy, because you are going to be working with me, and you got invited to play just the other day, and you had to say no.
I just
told you, if you want to leave me.
I would never. I've committed to being with you guys from 10 to 2 at the lovely Penn Oaks in Westchester, Pennsylvania. Love that course. Love that area. It's great. It's going to be a great day.
Do you have to work after later on that night?
I do.
You know?
Yes.
I'm not saying
it's
I'm
good
not mad,
stuff.
Aim.
It's good stuff. I'm going to go in. It's going to be a lot of Eagles for me that day. I'm doing Birds Huddle that day at 6 o'clock live with Barrett Brooks on NBC Sports Philadelphia. So I'm sure we'll get a lot of sound. We'll get a lot of those things with all the players out. They've got a great lineup out there. So if you guys are interested, then they do a thing. They have the night before. There's like a soiree kind of kickoff event. Which is a lot of fun.
Soiree.
Yeah.
I think tickets were still available for that soiree when we talked to Brian last week. So you can get on BrianDawkins.com, check it out. If not, you can also bid on items online, too.
Yes,
so
great items.
And there are some great items up for grab. All right, just real quick, Mike Scanlon, our buddy on Twitter, who likes to have good conversation, he said Raptors had prime Kawhi Leonard, no question. A young OG Anunoby. Only played 20 minutes a game, averaged 7 points. Like, I'm not going to really include him there. A young Siakam we talked about,
very
absolutely. A Fred VanVleet, who was kind of
an energy bench guy. A good
bench
one.
Guy.
He would come in and give you like, all right, here we go. You need 15 points in your 20 minutes, and he would do that. But he wasn't a starter.
Right. A Norm Powell, Ibaka, Serge Ibaka was always a tough player.
Mm-hmm.
I went back to, I said,
Kyle Lowry.
I may have.
Lowry's the one that I think you might have forgotten.
I said I may have understated it. I still thought the Sixers had the better team. He said he thought the Sixers had the better starting five, not the better overall team. I think that was kind of a missed opportunity by the. I just got word in from a friend. Scotty Scheffler charges dropped.
Yeah, they released the audio of the conversation he had. Have you heard that?
I have not.
It's exactly how you think it's going to go. I had no idea you're wearing this yellow. I thought you were parking. I mean, it's almost verbatim of exactly what we talked about that day.
It was kind of damning
the guy was
when
like,
the video came out.
If you see somebody's trying to stop you, you should stop. And I'm thinking, no, you shouldn't. If it's 5 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning or whenever this was, and I see somebody flagging me down, I'm not automatically stopping. I'm probably like going to look at you a little leery and be like, what do you want from me? I was just told to go around, which is exactly what he says in this audio.
I still think the telltale thing was when that police report came out, and that's written by somebody at the police station, okay? You're writing about somebody you work with, and you put in there that his pants, valued at $80, were irreparable. And then sorry, in my mind, and I said it right that day when we read it, there was some busting of stones going on there. Yes. And I was wondering
especially after you look at the video. He didn't fall down. There was nothing.
Yeah, I don't know where
his pants
got torn.
Damaged,
sorry. And I hope he's recovered from whatever Detective Gillis, I think it was. But
I did
something didn't smell right from the beginning.
Part of it is that there's no legal action that will happen afterwards, meaning we're going to drop the charges. Please don't sue us.
Yeah, it could be.
No, I think that's what part of the deal was.
Okay.
I read
All
that.
Right. I haven't read into it. And a tough weekend. I wasn't
Please
here,
don't sue us.
obviously, with the PGA, with Grayson Murray taking his life. I don't know why. It kind of I was not kind of why, but it's sad because I remember this. I distinctly remember it. I talked to my wife about it when he won in Hawaii. And the press conference afterwards,
all the comments,
was all about his struggles. And when he was on the course for that tournament and leading, the coverage talked about it, and I never knew about it
quite a bit.
Right? I don't want to say embarrassed as a media member, a former media member. I was disappointed. I'll say that so much of the questioning went to that as
Instead
opposed
of like,
to
enjoy this. How
Right.
great is this? You've been on the tour for X amount of years
Yeah.
to get this win in Hawaii to start the year
Yeah.
type of stuff. I watched the interview with his playing partner when he, withdrew. You can't get through that.
No.
I couldn't watch the whole thing.
No,
I had to
the
pause it.
interview was amazing. The guy that played with him the previous 2 days. I was talking to my friends about it yesterday. The parents, we were talking about their reaction, and is that how you would react? They're looking to help somebody else.
Right.
I think,
I think that's important.
And yeah, I do. And we never know the struggles that other people are going through. And we can
Right.
easily say something like, well, they could have handled that, should have handled that better. Look,
You never know.
I have 4 kids. Sometimes they do things that I don't know how to handle. I'm not going to lie to you. I wish I was the greatest parent in the world and I knew how to handle everything, but we don't. And I've seen, as you guys know, I have a special needs child. Like that's something that you just don't know, but you try the best you can. The heart goes out to the family, of Grace and Murray and all that. Also, another death, not to be doom and gloom, but Bill Walton going down, I say going down. I'm sorry, that sounds insensitive. Dying, passing away. I was in a store with my family, just doing some stuff to kill time because it was raining out, and it popped on my phone. And I was like, oh, man.
Yeah,
but a smile kind of came across my face.
It's the same thing. When I saw it, I was like, oh, Bill Walton? But you said it almost like, because you're so, it's always sad when anybody passes, but it's just like, talk about a guy who, lived life.
Yeah, and I so appreciate it.
Oh.
Now, I've watched this speech that he gave that's on Twitter, and I think it's about 4 minutes long, where he's talking about John Wooden and the lessons in life that he learned from John Wooden. And it went on. I encourage anybody to go on there. Bill Walton is standing up and he's walking back and forth talking to a group about John Wooden and the life lessons he learned from him. I thought it was absolutely fascinating. One of my favorite stories was Bill Walton wins National Player of the Year, wins a national championship, and goes to John Wooden going into his sophomore year and says, I think I've earned the right to grow my hair out because you won't let us grow our hair long. And John Wooden looked at him and says, that's fine. I think I still reserve the right not to play you, so it was nice having you. We're going to miss you.
Can you
And
imagine?
Bill Walton went snip, snip,
Okay.
snip, snip. Yeah, I mean, if you ever have a chance to get a John Wooden book, it's phenomenal with his pyramid of how to live life. Bill Walton was a guy who I hated as a little kid. I'll tell you, my friend Glenn, I was 10 years old. That's how long Glenn and I have been friends. At Glenn's house, watching the Sixers in Game 6 against the Portland Trailblazers. And I had to grab the basketball with about 25 seconds to go and leave Glenn's house and go out in his driveway and start shooting up baskets because I didn't want Glenn to see me cry. I remember it like it was yesterday. That's how disappointed. And I hated Bill Walton. I hated the way he shot. I hated that he could pass. I hated that he had bad feet. I hated the beard. I hated the headband. And I grew to love the guy because I saw life through basketball through him.
His broadcasting, when you would watch those games, they were after dark out here. We'd call it Pac-12 after dark. And a lot of times you'd either be at work or you're coming home from work and you'd watch it. Just the joy, the effervescence with which he called those games. And I would say over half the time, didn't talk a lick of basketball.
Yeah.
It would relate whatever he's talking about. It was kind of woven in. But he would go out with the crowd. He would address the people in there. He'd tell these stories. And sometimes it would have a basketball kind of tangential relationship. But it was always entertaining. And you just knew he was having fun and enjoying it. And it was hard not to enjoy. It didn't matter if you cared what he was talking about or not. He gave so much enjoyment in how he expressed himself that you'd be hard-pressed not to enjoy it.
And when you really listen, how smart he was.
Oh, exceptionally.
Unbelievably so. The way he related basketball to everyday life, maybe even things you didn't know much about. You're like, whoa, just a really, really smart guy. He also, there's something I'd love for you to check out. I think I saw it on TV. I don't know if I saw it on Twitter or both. He tells the story about being with the Boston Celtics. Another reason I hated him, because he went to the hated Celtics with Larry Bird and McHale. And he tells the story of taking those guys to a Grateful Dead concert. Amy, if you haven't seen it, you have to look it up.
I gotta check that out.
Robert Parrish also is in it, and he's like, I'm a rhythm and blues guy. Like I wasn't. He said he had the most fun, and it's a really great story. It wasn't just taking them to a concert that he enjoyed, but it was taking them to a life experience that he wanted them, to be a part of. And it was just, it's really cool. So if you get a chance, look up the Bill Walton stuff. I was lucky enough to see him play. I don't remember him in college, but I do in the pros, and then see him as an announcer and all. It's just that was one. There's few passings that kind of make you smile. 71, you said it yesterday, way too young, but that one kind of did a good job in life, good run. You know what I mean? So kudos to Bill Walton. We'll give a little tip of the cap to him. All right, when we get back, we'll round this thing out, finish it up, take you to the best show ever, where you have Tyrone, Ricky, and Silvana joining you today. When we get back, we'll finish it all up. This is Middays. Bob Cooney, 97.5 The Fanatic. Welcome back. Last couple of minutes. Sorry about that. We had Tyrone in here.
Yeah,
we always
we
have
did.
great conversation.
Love it.
When Tyrone is in here, sometimes we forget.
Talking about takes and
exactly
whatnots.
what we're supposed to be doing. Yeah, exactly. So glad you joined us today. It's great to be back after being out just for 2 days. Well, it was a lot of days combined, but I only took 2 days off. So we're back. So we're all over that hump.
I've been here.
Felt like a year.
I know. You both did
I was here, Ray was
tremendous
here.
job. At times you were funny. At times you were serious. It was just a great
Mostly
combination
funny.
from you guys.
Mostly.
Amy was funny.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Works for me.
No, that's cool.
Works for the show. If Amy's funny.
That's
I'm cool
not
with
true.
that.
We're all funny in our own ways.
In our own way. All right, Ray, did we get – I might be catching you off guard here. So, Amy, be ready.
I am.
Do you have the Phillies lineup in front of you for
I got
today?
it.
I do have the Phillies lineup in front of me.
He is good.
For
Good.
today.
Not only entertaining, funny, but also very well prepared.
Maybe. All right. Designated hitter Kyle Schwarber batting leadoff in the 2-hole. Shortstop Edmundo Sosa. Batting third, first baseman Bryce Harper. Cleaning up, third baseman Alec Boehm. Right fielder Castellanos bats fifth. Second baseman Bryson Stott batting sixth. Whit Merrifield in left field batting seventh. Garrett Stubbs doing the catching batting eighth. And Christian Pache as your center fielder batting ninth.
All right, so Stubbs gets the day. It's a day game, night day. Extra innings last night. Not a surprise. Castellanos batting fifth.
Still in there.
Still in there. Has yet to miss a game. Has started every game. And then Stott's down to sixth. Merrifield in left because obviously with the righty lefty. So there was no Beardo, no Brandon.
Go ahead.
Marsh.
Say it.
No.
Do you like you got Pache instead of your guy Sosa Rojas?
Say it.
Can we let Brandon Marsh grow against left-handers a little bit? Like, if we look at the
We're
last
trying
week,
to grow
say there's
Castellanos.
if there's been how many games on this road trip? 6 or 7?
Yes, there's six. Yeah, 3 and 3. This is the last
Did he
game of the
play?
road trip.
Did he not play in 4 of them?
Correct.
I don't know. I don't know why that bothers me, but it does. Like, is the outfield consist of 2 out of the 3 guys are platoon? Rojas is more consistent now than Brandon Marsh is as an outfielder for the Phillies.
Do you want me to do the splits?
Yeah, give us the
That's okay.
splits. Give us the splits.
Brandon Marsh this year against left-handed pitching, batting 139.
How many at-bats?
That would be 36 at-bats, 43 plate appearances.
I mean, that's not a lot.
Against the starters. So he started 9 games against left-hand starter.
Okay.
He is hitting 125 with a 371 OPS.
Okay.
Give me
Christian Pache in 4 years is hitting 178. Like, are we growing with Brandon Marsh or are you growing with a platoon of Christian Pache? And look, it's minor, as I told you before. It's like a I don't know, a mosquito on my arm in the grand scheme of life. But I just like, are they trying to grow Brandon Marsh or not?
Well, here you go. I mean, if you want the argument that supports you, the platoon splits for Pache against lefties, hitting a 167 with a 591 OPS, and against left-handed starters, where he has 16 starts against left-handed starters, he's hitting 178 with a 514 OPS.
So you don't have a lot to choose from is basically what you're saying,
I think
right?
Ray pointed out earlier, it's a light hitting outfield.
Yeah, it is. And
I
that's,
do like Sosa in that 2-hole today.
He's hitting the ball hard. Like Tom McCarthy talked about it last night, and Ruben talking about even when he's making outs, he's hitting the ball hard. And right after he said it was like a line shot to shortstop.
He had that one in Coors Field that almost went out, but I think the wind knocked it down.
Yeah.
He thought it was out. He had a little skip in his step.
Yeah.
It was good.
I like skips and steps. Ray, do we have, before we get out of here, actually we don't have time, so I'm not even going to ask you to go to texts. Sorry, that is my fault. But Sosa, I don't mind hitting 2 because he is hitting so well. Boehm back at the 4 spot. Would you have put Castellanos down in the lineup a little bit? Well, he wants to go. Well, he went righty. You could have put Stott up at 5.
That's what that's the only surprise.
Yeah, he got Stubby behind the plate today. So there'll be some fun. The guy tries.
There'll be some vibes. Listen, his last game that he started, he played 2 for 4. He did quite well.
See that?
See?
Once in a while.
Chief Vibes Officer.
That's right. Yeah. All right, I want to remind you that on Monday, we are going to be out at Penn Oaks doing the Brian Dawkins golf outing. Amy and I are going to be doing the show from there. Ray is also going to join us. So if you get a chance, get online, BrianDawkins.com. You can bid on some items there. There's also a soiree you can check into, all of that stuff. So, until tomorrow, 10 a.m., 10 a.m., you know, not you.
Tomorrow's Thursday.
Tomorrow's
correct?
Thursday.
I'll
Bill
see you on
Collaroo,
Friday.
We will see you then. This is Middays 97.5 The Fanatic.